Hey everyone, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today we are going to be talking Season 5, Episode 10, Mother's Mercy. And joining me today are no strangers to Episode Club. We have all of these lovely people to join us. So whoever unmutes first gets to talk first. Rules of Episode Club.
Hi, I'm Clarissa. You might know me from the Cylon Johns.
Well, hello, I'm Ben. You know me from Drinks and Nose Things and Citadel Trivia. Thank you, Ken, for having us on again. This is always a lot of fun. I'm excited to talk about this episode. It's actually one of the better season finales, so I'm glad I was able to jump on for this one.
No problem at all. And Johnny should be with us momentarily. He is back-to-back streaming. So,
Johnny's here. Johnny's here. What is going on, everyone? Let me go ahead and say hey to everyone in the chat because my fingers hurt from typing in that big ass chat earlier. I am ready to talk about Mother's Mercy. Shame, the best episode so far this season, and good God, man, has it been a dull season? No disrespect to Game of Thrones. Come on, come on. I want my TV top par. Slide the tank, Benjamin. Shut up in there. No, what's up, Eduardo Blanco? It is so great to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. OTDA, what is up, the one true David Adams? Sasuke, what's up, Johnny B. Popular? I don't know about all of that. Otila Angel, what is going on? Peter Griffin, how you like being blue? Hashtag phrasing. The Imagination Realm, how are you doing? Catherine Harding, hashtag tootin' a 10. Tina Sarah, we haven't forgot about you guys. Who else we got in the chat? Justin Thomas, my Twitter son. How is it going, buddy? Are you making me some money? Fake Aria. Everybody check out Bravosi Broadcast. And let's see. My best announcer's voice. I'm going to get cheesy with it here. What's going on, John Del Viento? No, no, everyone. If I've missed everyone, speak up right now. If not, let's do this. Let's do that. Alicia Kingston, how are you doing? I hope everybody's having a fantastic evening. Or whatever. Don't call it that, Dad.
Or as JR puts it, good time zone, everyone. So, we start off this episode pretty much with Stannis and the repercussions of the last episode. So, with Celeste having committed suicide and Mel leaving. So, was this obvious that Mel was going to leave after she kills Shireen, or what do we all think? Who wants to die? Okay.
No, sorry, I was working on something really quick. Yeah, so I love the start of this where Mel's all happy-go-lucky, like giddy, like, oh, we did good. The snow's melting, and she's like trying to be all touchy-feely, and Stannis is shoving her off, and then the hits just keep coming for Stannis. It's one after the other, and Mel just realizes, well, I done fucked up because this ain't gonna be good.
Prophet is a bitch, ain't it,
Right.
Ben? Clarissa, what are your thoughts? I need to rest my mouth. I'm joking. That can be hashtag weird. Hashtag Sanger things.
I still remember the first time I watched this episode, and I saw the look on her face, and I was like, why did this magic work? Like, as she's walking through, and she's so confident, and you think, like, if you're a first time watcher, you're totally like, okay, yeah, that was a heinous act, but it worked in their favor. And then slowly, as that scene progresses, you're just like, oh, well, yeah, it worked, but it didn't.
Well, it's funny that they were defeated by fire as well when Ramsay used that. And
Irony.
going back to that, yeah, it's working. Sure, it worked. I'm sure the seasons come and go, and there's a little something to the King's blood there. And kind of to Mel, this is not to her defense, but she does think that Shireen's going to go to an afterlife. You can at least say that for her. Other than that, it's fucking horrible. But, yeah, I'll leave it there. Let y'all go crazy at me. Don't everybody talk at one time.
Yeah, like with the whole thing of Mel, burn your daughter and you'll survive this battle. And then it's like, but I'm out. And then it's like the wife was just like, just commit suicide. I'm out. Now you have like little to maybe half of your army, like less than half of your army, and you have your wife's now dead, your daughter's dead. So what are you gonna do? No horses because they all died.
Your wife's dead. Your horses are dead. Your daughter's dead, and your red woman just burnt the fuck out.
What are you gonna do
Victory
now?
is imminent.
Yeah,
Stannis Baratheon, I'm going to King's Landing.
First, I make my pit stop at Winterfell, and then it's just nope.
So bad.
Yes.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to Westeros.
Literally.
Don't forget your towel.
So I guess we'll continue talking about Stannis, because why not? So Stannis marches over Winterfell. Sansa goes to the Broken Tower, and the Boltons prepare for the battle. So, as well as the battle ensues. I figured that Stannis was obviously not he was going to show up, and then the men on the battlements see how little to no people fight for Stannis anymore. It's like, perfect opportunity, and then they just kill everybody, including Stannis, with Stannis' army. Like, we get Brienne facing off of Stannis as well, which is just sweet justice. What do you all think?
Congratulations, Peter Griffin. Just got to give him a big congratulations there.
So I'll start on this one again because I know Johnny needs a little break time. This scene, I love the visuals of it. You see Stannis' army a third of the size of what Ramsay has as a whole, and as soon as Ramsay starts running, I watch everything with the subtitles on just because you catch the little things, and you hear one of the guys. It's hard to hear, but when you watch it, it comes out, "We're fucked." Like it literally says, we're fucked. We're gonna lose. Like from the back of Stannis' camp, and as soon as Ramsay's guys are coming on him, you look. Half of Stannis' crew are running the other way. Like the back half of the line are running the other way, and it's like that is really cool. It's like, and it makes sense. If I was following Stannis out of duty, quote unquote, it's like, nope, this ain't happening. I'm gonna make a break for it.
I would have killed Stannis in his sleep. I'm sorry.
You're like the only sellsword that actually fell asleep when everybody took off before dawn, and you wake up and everybody's gone, and you're like, fuck, those guys left without me.
Stannis would have already hung you if you fell asleep. By the way, like he did the people that were watching the damn food.
Yeah, exactly.
They were either complicit or they're lazy bastards. Kill them because I don't need all the men I could get.
Yeah, kill the conspirators, because it's no way that 20 men could have lit this big of a fire and killed all those horses, but it did. It's just like,
at this point, he has nothing left, though, right? Even his religious beliefs are shattered. He has nothing to live for. He realized what he'd done to his daughter was far too late to take it back at this point. His wife, I have no remorse for her. Not down with the suicide. She should have had to live with that shit. And this off-screen death with Stannis, I'm sorry, pissing me off to the fullest extent. If we don't see him carrying his head under his arm as a White Walker later, I'm going to be pissed. Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Can I just interject though about like, okay, there's no question that Cerise is like, she's lost her marbles, but I mean, speaking as like the feminist here, but you have to understand the condition that these women were born to. Like they were born to be somebody's wife. They weren't taught how to do anything except look pretty and, embroider cushions. And that's and their purpose is to make heirs. And in her whole life, she was prepared for this. And then when she was married off to a nobleman, she ended up unable to bear his son, starving and an enemy of the state, and having to live in seclusion away. And this this miracle worker came into your life and made you realize that all of these things were out of your control, but everything had a purpose, and that your life is not in vain.
Even
and
the daughter you despise
but
and call a curse.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm just saying that, like, this is why
You do have a
cults are
point.
effective. You know, they find people who are vulnerable, and then they take those vulnerabilities and they use them to, like, turn them towards their means. And it's like after Shireen dies, it's like everything becomes clear to her. And she's like, I was in a cult. What was I doing? How am I going to live with myself for the rest of my life? So while I wasn't sad that she was gone, I was sad for the woman.
She wanted to not to really argue your point, because I agree with you for the most part, but she has wanted Shireen dead for a long time. She suggested that they kill her after she got the grayscale. She even suggested later to Stannis, why the hell is she still alive?
Absolutely. It was the burst of the bubble. It was the burst
All
of the
those
bubble.
unborn-
She never would have felt remorse before that.
The
When
babies
she was
in-
immersed in the cult, she never would have felt the remorse. It wasn't until that bubble was burst for her.
Yeah.
And she
But this was
realized,
before the cult. Some of this behavior was before Mel, though. A lot of this behavior was. Well, Mel hasn't been there, but what, about a year? In the beginning, no.
Yeah, and I do agree with you, Johnny. She had mental issues because of a lot of like the problems, because she grew up knowing she wasn't the best looking, wasn't the most fanciful. She was given second hand to the king's brother kind of thing. And then also on top of it, she had the miscarriages, which, let's be honest, that has a nasty effect on any woman's psyche, or most people's psyche. Even, you know, as a husband, it would have, you know, nasty effects on ours, you know, but it affects people in a weird way. And so, yeah, that just starts down the realm of, you know, looking at the insanity that we see later on and why she's so willing to join a cult.
Yeah, and keeping dead babies in a jar does not help this, that psyche on Dragonstone.
no, not a sign of a healthy mind, generally. No.
No.
These are my
and
babies
Look at
in
my
jars.
precious boys, my beautiful boys.
then what did? Because obviously they left the babies in the jars on Dragonstone, so I'm surprised that we didn't get a scene of like Danny walking into a room and like, what the hell is this?
It makes me think. Hey, Franco. It makes me think of Maester Aemon being put in the cask of blackberry wine on the way to Old Town in the books. Because they couldn't burn it. Rum, sorry. Well, thank you, Ben.
Sorry, it was a trivia question that I had come up with, so that's why.
The trivia,
no wonder.
The trivia master right there. Yeah.
But yeah.
The babies in the jars, like they left those obviously on Dragonstone, so it's like would have been not funny, but a comedic moment of Danny walking into that specific room on Dragonstone and being like, "What the frick is this?" Like, cause you know that episode's just like her just like staring at the nicest of Dragonstone, and then to break the it's just like, what the hell is this? It's like, but obviously.
See, I bet you she brought him with him.
Yeah,
Danny reaches Dragonstone.
But that would be hilarious. That would have been hilarious.
Yeah. Sasuke. Hashtag pickled baby Baratheons. Oh.
Just to be clear, I wasn't sorry that Cerise died. I wasn't sorry that she killed herself. Yeah. I'm just saying that there's a certain sympathy to her character that I have. Even though, you know.
You'd see that in 5-9 when Shireen's like literally on her like last moments and she breaks like that moment of breaking from this mentality and the idea and her running through the crowd of people and obviously knowing that it's too late, like she made the wrong choice, and it just proves at the very end that she still loved Shireen, even though she said, I gave you nothing but weakness and all of this stuff behind her back. It's just that dichotomy of mother's mercy and mother's love at the same time. And also, kind of with Stannis and his defeat, we see that Sansa has broken free from being prisoned up in a room, so she gets to the broken tower and prepares to light the candle, which was a thing from the last couple of episodes. But Brienne doesn't get to see the lighting of the candle because she gets pulled away because Stannis is on the moon. But do you feel a bit like Brienne just sitting there waiting, and then basically she blinks and is like lit and is gone, and she's gone?
Sasuke was Shireen's brothers, and then pickle them babies, pickle all them babies. You want me to say it? Like, y'all should check out the worst British accent. I'm sorry, I can't even speak tonight. That has ever been said at the end of the live stream as well too. And Andy Burnett, what's going on? Fake art. Oh my God, this is just hilarious in here. But you know, the whole candle thing. It's just kind of. It's like drama for drama's sake because they've been playing the candle out for like 7 episodes.
Have you ever seen the any of the like Comic-Cons and stuff where they talk to Gwendolyn Christie about the candle? Oh my God.
No, go for
She's
it.
like, if people were like, if there was anything you could have changed about last season, what would it be? And they go through the whole panel, and Gwendolyn Christie says, I would have stayed for the candle. And everybody was like, ah! I think it was at San Diego Comic-Con or something. It was really funny.
Nice. Yeah, I thought that was well-timed writing. It's just like literally she turns her back and the candle licks out. It's like, come on. It's just that's just stupid, lazy writing. I'm sorry. It should have been when she, like, say she finds Stannis, and then like give it a minute or two, she finds Stannis, she whacks his head off, and then the candle comes on. It feels like it's not as imminent of it's right at the literal worst moment.
Or she sees the candle and never makes it there.
Can I interject on that subject for just a moment?
Nope. This isn't episode club or anything. This is a dictatorship. Go ahead.
If she and Pod hadn't gone out to find Stannis, then they wouldn't have been out in the field. I mean, yes, if they'd stayed, they would have seen the candle and they would have got Sansa, but who knows how that would have gone. But if they hadn't been gone when they were, then when we go into the future episode, sorry, any first-time watchers, spoiler alert, once we go into other, once they get away and they're running away from Ramsay's men, Brienne and Pod wouldn't have been out there to track them if they hadn't been away from the tower.
I'm sorry.
Watch if they had gone straight back to the tower watch, or if they had just.
I'm so sorry, Andy Burnett. Look, Ben, you got to address this because it's creeping me out now too. Now they pointed out the it balloon in the background. Is Baby Ramsay carrying that?
No. So this, I discussed it pre-stream before you made it, Johnny. This is Azor Ahai, the balloon that was promised. This thing has been around for over a month now and has yet to die. And it's been like, I did notice the first couple times in chat, like people made a couple comments about it, but now it's like every time I'm going, I'm leaving that damn balloon up. I am not refilling it. I am not cheating. This thing just refuses to die, and it's hilarious, and I'm leaving it. So that's why it's there.
If it's that lived, it makes sense that it's the red balloon.
Exactly. Well, and also that's a nice tie into our other podcast of the podcast that floats down here, which is an It chapter by chapter podcast read through that we're halfway through at this point. So.
The podcast that floats down here in my bottle with holes.
So I wanted to bring this up during this scene with the Stannis and Brienne part. Anybody else bothered that she literally swung her sword into the tree to slice off his head? She swings right-handed. He's sitting like he's leaning with the tree like this. She swings like this. She's literally swinging into the tree to chop off his head.
Yeah,
I understand she's right-handed and it's a natural swing, but maybe spin around, maybe do something, because now you're just it just doesn't seem like the smartest cut, you know, kind of thing.
Block. But they're like, hey Gwen, don't cut down the camera guy, okay?
Yeah, like it's facing the camera, just don't hit him with your metal sword.
Right. It's one thing, I don't know, it's bothered me since the first time I saw it. I'm like, you're swinging the wrong way. If anything, switch your grip and come left-handed stroke or something. It's a small continuity thing, but it just bothered me.
Well, it's so blatantly obvious that they don't kill him on camera. And Andy Burnett, I think she left Stannis alive. Maybe. It seems like he was going to die of his wounds, and why not die suffering? that's why we may see Stannis as a wife. But I'm just getting tinfoil here because I love it. Andy, Andy Burnett, I love tinfoil. So I will go into it, especially this off-camera death. I hate it. And who was that?
Same.
What Barristan Selmy? No, that was it AU's interview? The off-camera death's the worst death you could possibly hope for.
Yeah.
I think Brienne said, or Gwendolyn Christie. So thank you, AU, for that. If you haven't checked out that interview that AU was at with the sci-fi convention, which
Emerald City Comic Con.
which con was it? Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's pretty fantastic. But yeah, Clarissa, I cut you off very rudely earlier in the middle of your fantastic statement. Do you know where you were at? If you do, you can pick right back up there because it was a very intriguing thought. I just wish I would have wrote it down and not interrupted you like an asshole. And Johnny will just keep rambling and rambling until someone unmutes and shuts me the hell up. How's everyone doing?
Yeah, with the whole Stannis and Brienne thing, it's like, so now the Boltons have women fighting for them. It's like, no. She fights for Renly Baratheon, who's now dead, but in a sense, she's fighting for Catelyn Tully still. So she's fighting for the avenging of Renly Baratheon, avenging for Catelyn Stark. And it's like, will she have to avenge a Stark daughter? I don't know. But that would be I'm going to say it, interesting prospect, even though I don't like it. She may have to do that as well. And the idea of the whole shadow baby as well, which I believe it was Catherine who brought it up last week. Do the shadow babies give Mel longer periods of life? Because we know as of next episode that Mel is about 400 years old. So there's something with those shadows.
Almost as old as Ben's balloon.
You'll float too. Yeah.
I might get high. I don't know about float. But anyway, we're talking about Stannis' execution. I loved that he was like already pretty beat up and he still managed to kill 2 other guys.
That was badass. He's limping, he's gimping, and they come at him and he just cuts him down. They get one good swipe on him on his leg. But...
yeah. Well, and that's when you know that he's going to say, that's why he says to Brienne, do your duty. Because he knows he's going to bleed out from that wound. It's an arterial wound. You could show from the way they showed the blood flowing. It's arterial, man. He's just going to bleed out.
Yeah, they caught him right on the femur, on the peroneal artery, I think, on the outer thigh. Yeah. So he'd bleed out and everything. And I do like the thought of Brienne maybe saying, and that's why the bad swing goes into the tree and just, you're going to live. But if anything, if you're going to do that, if you're going to make him suffer like that, show it. Don't let, and that's why this is probably the worst death, as Gwendolyn Christie put out. It's the worst kind of death because you don't know for sure. It's the Cyril Farrell kind of thing. I stand by it. Cyril Farrell is not fucking dead because we did not see him die on screen, and I know in the books we don't see him die in the books either, and that's why I stand by it.
Mm-hmm.
See the death, you're not dead until we're given proof. Because hell, even don't base off of that aspect. Feast for Crows, we're told Davos Seaworth is dead. They hung his head up over the fat man, Mandalay.
Mandalay, White Harbor.
Yeah, White Harbor, thank you. His head's seen above there, and that's when Cersei's like, okay, release his son from the phrase. But then we find out in A Dance with Dragons, Davos isn't dead, and we get the whole North Remember speech. So you're meant to believe for an entire book that Davos is actually dead by the end of Feast for Crows, and we might get the story, but then we realize, okay, he's not. And so that's why I always say, if you don't see the death on screen or in page, it's not real. And this is why the Stannis death is the stupidest one I've seen.
I don't know. I think Stannis is gone. I think they've milked that cow.
I agree. By this point, yes, Stannis is dead. Brienne did her duty, and she held true to her vow. But I just think it was cheap.
Oh, and like Andy says, or the Blackfish. Although
Yeah.
he said he wouldn't leave his home. Like, what's he doing? Hiding in the moat?
Yeah, hiding in like the River Run version of the
Well, you
Black
have the
Cells.
Hound. Basically, you think he's dead,
The Hound
but you
disappears
hear
for
of
2
him
years.
being running around everywhere. But it ends up being Rourke in the Hound's helmet, right? It's not Biter. It's Rourke that's in the Hound's helmet, right?
Think so?
Eh,
Yeah.
correct me
Yeah.
if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Rourke in the Hound's helmet. And then
Yes. I had a maiden, or not maiden pool. Crap, the one that got waylaid. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Rourke.
so there's a big deal to that. You'll have a really good point. And I agree with you, Ben. I'll never say someone's confirmed dead unless I see them die on camera, especially with this. And then in the books, first person, or not first person, having someone actually see them die. And even you can't necessarily always believe that because people think they see someone. You know, they don't have TVs. They don't know what people look like. They just go off base descriptions. So it's a good point.
Yeah, well, they could have done that where they kept Stannis as a dead character and then only to bring him back like we did with the Hound, where we don't see the Hound for almost 2 seasons because Arya leaves him in the mountains in 408 and Sandor doesn't show up until 607. So, yeah, they could have done that, but because of obviously the Stannis storyline in the books kind of hangs in the balance, but I guess because he wasn't a vital character moving forward, it just kills him here. But it's cheap in a sense that like he's like one of the longest named characters in the show in season 2, and he dies this bad death.
Agreed. And the one thing about the difference between the Hound and Stannis of them bringing back the Hound 2 years later was the Hound was on a redemption arc where he was trying to be better and showing that with Arya and everything. And so his was they needed that religious aspect, that rebirth kind of thing that he got. Stannis never was. He was on a downward slide from the beginning, and this is his rock bottom end. So there's no point in bringing him back forward. Even that fan favorite kind of, oh, yay, he's back. Because nobody in the television show fandom, because let's be honest, Stannis TV show sucks. They did him so poorly. And even David and Dan said they didn't like the Stannis character in the books. That's why they did it this way. And it's like, that's fucked. That's bullshit.
Yeah, could have done something. Like, it was a good character, but like you could have done something better with it. But pretty much the rest of this kind of chunk of scenes is Sansa and that part of the Winterfell plot where she lights the candle and then walking all the way back up to her room, I guess, she gets trapped by Theon and Miranda, but we all know what happened. Miranda goes bye-bye, and then Theon and Sansa go bye-bye as well. The fact that Theon breaks his Reek character in this and is finally broken that mold and becomes Theon again, it's just, yes! You've been like waiting for 2 episodes at least to get this character to break this persona, and then finally he kind of does this, and I'm like, thank God, because I can't go into another season with him going Reek in the middle of the corner, like in the corner anymore. But yeah, Ding Dong, Miranda is now dead. So what did you think when this kind of happened? Did you think something bad was going to happen to Sansa or all of that?
So I'll repeat my note from when we cover this one. Well, I guess that means Theon and Sansa are dead too, because we saw them jump off the parapet, and apparently off-screen deaths are a thing now. So sorry,
They are dead. They're faceless, man.
With all that snow, you guys you live where there's snow, right?
I've gotten.
You've never jumped off the roof of your house into the snow?
No.
Oh,
okay. In fairness, no, I don't live that far north. We did have a badass snow this year. We got actually about 13 to 15 inches in one day. So that was a decent snow, but no, it's never been jump off the house into the snow. But here's the thing, that snow looked like it gets in my neck of the woods in the middle of, the States here, at the worst possible, maybe 1.5 foot of snow. That was not a big overblown snowdrift like it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I guess my house is like a 20-minute drive to the Whitewater Ski Resort, so we get a lot of snow where I live.
I did like the oh crap. Miranda interaction where she's, trying to be the female Ramsey. She's trying to be that kind of cold-heartedness, and that thud. That was a solid. Whoever the sound guys were on that drop, just a solid thud. I had to slow it down because I was watching about 2.5 speed again today, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna slow this down because that fall, it was like, oh, that's perfect. Just deadening sound. There wasn't a it was not even like a ringing sound. It was just a thunk.
That and the way that they had the stunt person fall off, like the speed and the spin at which they got it, so that they made sure that when they cut in the footage for her hitting, that it was like her body was in the air and her head hit the ground first. Like, damn! It was very satisfying. I would agree with that 100%. Such talented people on that show.
Yeah, true. And the whole jumping thing does happen with Gene and Westerling too, right? In the books, it's kind of where we leave them off.
Yes.
Jane Poole, yeah.
Well, no, we do get one
Jane
final.
Poole, sorry.
Yeah, we do get one final Reek Ramsey or Reek Theon part after.
Yeah, because Theon ends up with Stannis later, right?
Yeah, with Asha. Yeah, because he shows up with Asha right at the very end of her chapter of Dance.
Which they didn't do that. I was like, damn it. Yeah, like Miranda's dead. I was like, thank God. But yeah, like she's a good character. She's a good actress. The actress has now moved on to playing Catherine of Aragon on Stars, which is pretty cool. She goes from a crazy girl to a queen in her career, which is pretty good. But yeah, we say kind of bye to Winterfell with this, and if we want, we can talk about John and Davos and all of that, or we can go to Bravos or Dorne, whichever one you want.
Whichever
it's either death, or death, or Cersei.
Whichever one you want, but I do want to remind you there is one scene with John and Sam before John and Davos.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry.
So we can go, I guess, to I guess we'll get it out of the way. Arya and Bravos, where she uses a little girl's face and kills Meryn Trant. So
I'll let you guys go because I have a whole thing. So please.
Clarissa, what did you think about that?
Again, one of those episodes that when you're a first time watcher and you're not a book reader, first of all, you wonder, is this in the books already? But the moment that he hits that one girl and you don't see her face and she's not moving, you're like, is it happening? Is it? And the minute she tears that face off, you're just like, kill him! Get him! I was just remembering as I was doing my rewatch about the first time that I watched that episode. And I remember it was the first time that I had an Arya scene where I was like, just kill him. I thought that it kind of amused me, and it's definitely a victorious moment for many viewers, I'm sure. Loved it.
Yeah, because Arya gets to cross one person off the list. It's taken her a while since the last person. Because I think the last person she kills is Polliver. Not Polliver. Yeah. Polliver. I think so. Because it's the man who took Needle from her.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
where?
Season 4.
Oh yeah, we're in the show. I'm in this hardcore book reread, and I was like, what? And it Rast.
Yeah, the one who took Needle.
Polliver was the last kill. I was trying to think if there was anybody in Bravos before this, but I there wasn't.
No. So. Yeah.
No, I guess Mary and
Sometimes,
Trent took up the Darren death,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, kind of.
I kind of liked it. I kind of didn't like it. I agree with Sasuke on that there too. But
Yeah. No, go ahead, John.
no, I digress. That's about all I wanted to say right now because
yeah.
I had to step away for a second, so I'm pretty lost.
Okay, no problem. So I'll go on my favorite rant. This is all my favorite Arya scene. This is Arya psycho fucking killer, just hands down badass. Don't give a fuck. I'm going to make you suffer, and she does. And I love the prayer at the end where she like kneels down and Mary Trent's both eyes are ripped out or gouged out, underwear or whatever the hell it was in his mouth, just just and it's like, yeah, I would like the Darren thing because that's Arya kind of doing the well, I'm the child of Winterfell and it's my duty to kill the Night's Watchman who's forsaking his vow or whatever. But this was so much more satisfying because we've seen, and yeah, it's been very heavy-handed of how much of a cunt. And sorry, Sarah, sis, sorry, Kenzie, but how much of an asshole he's been the entire series, and it's deserved. It's been, like I said, very heavy-handed, but it's like to get to this point, I'm okay with that because he's been one of the worst of the worst. He's no true knight. He's like exactly what the Hound feels of knights. Him and Gregor are exactly what the Hound feels about, and he's right. Most true knights aren't true knights, for lack of better terms, and so he gets exactly what he deserves, and it's just so cool to see Arya kind of flip the switch of, because she's still playing up there, or she was playing up the I'm no one, trying to play it into the face of them, and she's like, no, I'm Arya Stark of Winterfell, and you've been on my list since the beginning, and it's like, oh yes, so satisfying.
It's good. Very brutal. Nice little 12-year-old murderer. 14-year-old. I mean, I'm not. It's good. Arya's my favorite character, but I like going back and forth with this. The Mary and Trent death. I liked it. I didn't. The connotations that come with it piss me off. The blindness, how they went about. Every acolyte for the House of Black and White has to go blind at some point. I mean, that kind of makes me mad. And seemingly like the faceless men have feelings later. And when we find out that there is no Jockin, there is no waif, but everybody wants to talk about the waif and Jockin, but there isn't. It's just no one. You're talking about a face, and we get caught up in these people that don't exist. They even tell you they don't exist. It, so it keeps you going there. They do have to come back with the faceless men here, and Syria Farrell. Call it what you will. Him and Jack can talk a lot alike. You can say, hey, they're from Bravos, but Titus Nestorius doesn't talk like that. Other people we've seen from Bravos doesn't necessarily talk like that. So it's just certain segments of people. I don't know.
All possibilities. So I put in the chat, is Marin Trent the worst Kingsguard? But it's like, is it that or Jamie? It's like, well, Jamie, as we all know, doesn't beat little girls in brothels. So if you take like,
I would say the one that they called him Iron Rod, and I can't remember his name, but he's in Fire and Blood, and he wed 3 different women without them know it, and sired 3 different bastards, and was sent to the wall by Jaehaerys. It was messed up.
Yeah, I was just on a same thing as you were, Johnny, read through, and I just went through the Jamie chapter covering the White Book with Loras, and he's like, well, and they talk about all the great heroes of the Kingsguard, Barristan and Dunk and all the other ones, and then Jamie's like, well, about this one? Oh, well, he married this, and he's like, what about this one? This one had 30 different kids, and so it's like, yeah, there's good Kingsguardmen and there's bad Kingsguardmen. And that's a great discussion of who's worse, Jamie or Maren Trent. Maren Trent, yes, beats little girls in a brothel. Jamie throws kids out of windows because they found him fucking his sister. It's a hard debate, because we have only seen perspective of Jamie really from Jamie's perspective. Whenever Jamie's on screen, like except for book 1, we only get Jamie's perspective from himself, and so everybody always looks better from their own perspective.
Yeah, thank you, Sasuke. Look more strong. The Strongs. That house we're going to be talking about soon. And on my channel, we'll be talking about the Maesters. And actually the Dance of Dragons. And Laris Clubfoot. My God, that's an interesting character. If you haven't read about him yet.
Yeah, like almost Marin versus Jamie, like stream could be a thing. Like almost like a who's the worst of the Kingsguard, like the worst of these two Kingsguard. Keep going on and on and on. Yeah, Arya kills Marin Trent, and then she gets punished for taking a face from the many-faced god.
I just want to tell the chat. There's a good, nice term for this. It's called gelded. You don't have to put swords and eggplant emojis. That hurts me. That hurts me physically when I see this. Okay, so please.
But yeah, so Arya loses, and yeah, so she gets her punishment. So she loses no one and her eyes at the same time.
Yeah. Clarissa, go ahead. You haven't talked for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, we're still on Marin Trant, aren't we? So, yeah, I don't really have a lot more to say about that scene, except I really cheered that whole thing on, unless we're moving on to Jamie and Dorn.
Well, anything about the Faceless Men part back in the House of Black and White?
I found myself trying to re-examine the scene where Jaqen drinks the vial, and they say he was no one, and she starts taking the faces off, and then her face was there, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I can understand how people have this theory that the current Arya is not the real Arya or whatever, because with the pulling of the faces, her face is on them, but they've never taken her face, or have they? That got me rethinking.
Although there are instances where Arya could be dead, but I don't think that's the case because so many people will be pissed off, especially in the show. And I don't think it's going to happen in the book. But that's a good point. I think with that, it was kind of cinematic. Her seeing herself as no one. Like, it could be anyone. You could see yourself and it not be you. I think that's kind of the point of that. It's more cinematic than anything.
Exactly. And the Faceless Men have different tactics to poisoning or causing hallucinations than just making them ingest something. So,
well, yeah, and at the same time too, I was the other side of it is, they're an order that revolves around magic. So if you think about like the warlocks, that appears here and there and every, like, obviously there's going to be magic that is going to be left unexplained to us as the viewer. They're not going, like, we think we understand the magic that, oh, they kill people and then they take their face and then they wear their face, but that's not necessarily the be all end all of their magical abilities. So who knows what all that means, what they could project, what they could make her see and then make her not see. Like, yeah.
And then also, I think it's fitting for like show viewer wise, because again, book side, we know later on why they took her eyesight and everything like that. It's meant for the training. Everyone goes through that. But show wise, she took, Marin Trent's eyes. She took both of his eyes, blinded him. So it makes sense as a punishment in this scene without getting any explanation of what the hell's going on. We took your eyes for this reason. Book-wise, I think it's done better. It's the first time isn't voluntary, but after that, it's known that it's a voluntary thing. She drinks the milk every night to keep the blindness going. I wish they would have expounded upon that a bit, but it was still, I think it was fitting to give those show watchers like, oh, fuck, that don't know what's going on. Oh, shit, what the hell? Oh, this is interesting. I think it's an interesting take if you look at it from that aspect of not kind of having the inside knowledge of where they're going with it.
They definitely had to condense it. Sasa, are you going to talk about something? Look at you in the chat doing stuff. Don't make me do stuff.
Yeah, with Arya and losing no one, this is obviously the representation of Jaqen. This man's name is not actually Jaqen. It's like he is no one. but that's just the name that we give this character, so we have a focal point. And especially with her getting in trouble for just killing one person, what about when if I know we're saying that this will probably not happen because of time constraints, but she did kill like 50 prey that weren't obviously on either her list or wanted, you could say, by the many-faced god. So she could face repercussions for that, and that could be one of the things that kind of brings at least that actor back to the fold, even if he is no one. And yeah, she had to go through that training as well, being blind. So then her fight with the waif makes so much sense when she chops off the candle and I forget, is it episode 8 of season 6?
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah. That's a good point. And they're bringing up, Sasuke, of course, always being a smart ass. We know. No, I'm just kidding. He's supposed to be the kindly man, and they kind of took this whole. It almost seemed like they were going with the Pate route, right? When Jockin first took his face off, and then they just went away with it. They didn't send this faceless man to the Citadel, and I'm gonna be pissed if we don't see the Citadel in season 8. If they just left that in the wind, because that is one of the biggest and most important structures in all of Westeros. That contains all of the knowledge in Westeros and almost the known world for the most part.
Yeah, I think we'll see that later in the season, would be my guess. I don't think the first half the season 8 we're going to see anything in the Citadel. I think most of it's going to be north.
No, I think Frodo and Sam will get there like right at the end. Exactly. Oh, wrong.
Wrong fandom.
That's about right, because they'll just keep walking. End of the story. That's the story. That's Lord of the Rings in a nutshell. So. Yeah. Sorry. Well, if you ever want to hear the great synopsis of Lord of the Rings, watch Kevin Smith's breakdown of Lord of the Rings. It's hilarious and it's apt. So that's all I'll say.
Yeah, they have to tie in so many loose ends. Like, they got to get us some sort of resolution with Marine, because they haven't done that yet. We got to bring in the Faceless Man somehow to kind of resolve that, because the way that she points her needle at Jaqen and goes, "I'm Arya Stark of Winterfell and I'm going home." It's like, girl, you're not supposed to have an identity when you leave this place. What are you doing? So that has to be resolved, and they have to kind of resolve the Citadel, because Sam stole some important books, I'm assuming, from the Citadel. So he's going to get in trouble, so they have to bring that around as well. So, right. And do what they're supposed to do. So.
See, now to the Arya Jaqen part at the end, where she's heading out, he gives her that nod and that smile like, yes, you are. That's what I've been training you for. I haven't been training you to be a faceless man. I've been training you to be Arya Stark with superpowers, pretty much. And that's kind of the inflection that I get from the look and the nod, because it's like, okay, let's do it, or go ahead, you have my blessing kind of thing. So I don't know if there's going to be a payoff for the Faceless Men thing. Show wise, I think book wise there may be. I'm sorry, Clarissa, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna I was gonna ask if anybody has any insight as to how do most people end up coming to the Faceless Men? Like, do they come to the Faceless Men, or are they generally selected? Because she was selected.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay.
I mean,
go ahead, give him out there. So they select, they choose people. They usually do not choose children. The waif in the books is 30 years old, but she looks the same age as Arya because she deals in poisons. This goes back a little bit to Melisandre, and you can also look at other characters differently, like Missandei. She may not be as old as she says she is. She may not be 9 or 11 like she is in the book. She may be much older. And we get an example of that with the waif. And I think that's your main example and clue as to what the hell is going on with Missandei. Now, could Missandei be a faceless man? And I'm just going on a rant here. And yes, you have Pate at the Citadel, more than likely looking for the death of dragons and something else. Now, we've uncovered some things, and there possibly could even be a dragon egg. There's a few things that could be at the Citadel of great nature. Now, going with the Faceless Men, I think Arya is supposed to fulfill a mission as herself, but ultimately she has to pay a price for the knowledge that she used, going back to the 3 lives taken from the Red God. She's going to have to serve in the end. And back to your point about her seeing her own face there, that's seeing her own future in the House of Black and White. So, I think I've wrapped that up nice and poetically. Little Johnny rant for you.
Well said.
Yeah, it's just,
Happy Gilmore, Ben.
yeah, it's like this. The wrap up of her getting no eyes is what predominantly leads us into the next season. Is just her and her blindness, which is so boring. But hey, you gotta go through it. Speaking of another boring plot line, we can talk about Dorn for 5 minutes if you want, because I know everybody hates this plot line so very much.
No, I actually defended this earlier in the chat. This is the best Dorn scene in the entire series. And I'm sorry, I'm not good.
The only good Dorn scene in the entire series.
Yes.
Ariel
Because
Hotah doesn't get stabbed with a toothpick, and we don't talk about the bad pussy all episode. I mean, yeah.
oh no, it is, and that's why it's the
I
greatest.
know. I mean, all episode. Like, I mean, the bad pussy, as in I'm the most beautiful woman in the world. Like, we get a good line here. When all we've been getting is like this weird, like, I'm so cool, look at me type shit.
And that's why I say this is the dumbest line in the entire series. The entire 7 seasons so far that we had, 67 episodes, the dumbest line spoken. You don't want a good girl. You want a good girl, but you want the bad pussy. It's the fucking dumbest thing in the world, but I love it. I love the stupid, and it's so bad. It's good. It's almost like watching, those shitty B horror films that you want to watch just because it's so bad it's good kind of thing. And that's what this scene is. I do like the Marcella scene on the boat with Jamie. It's sweet. It's very telling. And actually the method Ilaria used, I didn't see it coming. I'm not gonna lie. Didn't see it coming as a show watcher, book reader. So it was like, okay, interesting. I like where it's going, but this scene holds a special place in my heart for being the best of the worst, or worst of the worst, so it's the best kind of thing. So anyway, I digress. I'm done.
No, it's totally true. It was definitely one of those lines. I don't know if anybody has seen the film Bitch Slap, but that goes right up there with firing a bazooka and blowing up a car right after you say, "Ram this up your clam bake cupcake." Okay? It's just so bad. You have to love it.
Yeah, the Dorn plotline. The Dorn plotline that's really going on is just it's too condensed. Like, they needed those like D&D should have either given up on the show and just gotten new showrunners to give us 10 seasons so Dorn actually makes sense, because we really only get Dorn for about 2 seasons, and in those 2 seasons Dorn makes absolutely no sense at all. Like, because they have obviously they like Marcella in the books because they actually want to plot to make her queen, which was brought up in the chat. The queen maker plot, which would have been amazing, but obviously they have to trim the fat already this early in the show to kind of prepare us for obviously what comes next. But it's so annoying.
It could have been easily done. You take Ariane, make it Ilaria. Take Ilaria and turn her into Queen Maker. You can cut out Ariane altogether. I like Ariane as a character, but you can cut her out, turn into Ilaria. You use the Sand Snakes as the catch-all to go and steal her away. It's 12 minutes of the entire season you could do this in. 12 to 15 minutes of the entire season you could do the storyline in, condensed down. The one problem that the Sand Snakes had, and I just watched a great interview with one of them a while back, or read an interview of them, and they said basically every other character like Oberyn and Ilaria and everybody gets introduced as their own. Like, they get their own scene to say, hey, this is me. This is everything. All 3 Sand Snakes were introduced at once. So it's a lot of information for us to consume, and you don't get that personalized how, each one works and everything like that. So that's hindered them from the very beginning of the Dorn plot. And then on top of it, it could have easily been done, but the showrunners decided, nah, we need to get Jamie down there. Still get Jamie down there. It's easy enough to get him down there. Use the same tactics, but just use this better storyline of they have a built-in premise or thought process.
Imagination Realm wants to know what the balloon says, and maybe throw in Aries Oak card for the F of it, Sasuke says. And yes, like to your point, man, all they had to do was, and even like the Sand Snakes, they could have kept them as they were if they would have did the right thing with Ilaria Sand. If they would have made her into is it Alice Sand Martell? Yeah, or is it Elaine Martell? My bad. But they could have did the same because it's a perfect political ploy. You know, it doesn't matter whether you're male or female in Dorne, you ascend when you're next in line. And Marcella was older than Tommen at this point. It's just such a great plot in the books that you're right. It would have took a water garden scene of them going, ee! They just cut that out with Tristan and Marcella, and then you have it. That's it. And then have Areo Hota beat the hell out of a Kingsguard. Or at least chop his head off after he's full with arrows. You know, like in the books.
I totally agree with what you're saying about how introducing them all at once kind of put them at a disadvantage. It kind of made Ilaria and the Sand Snakes kind of seem like Scar and the three hyenas from the Lion King. You know, like villains, but pretty like stereotypical, know a bit of the background story, but that's, you know, their purpose is to be the bad guy.
Yeah. That's probably why in episode 8 she goes, I am a bar of sand. Like, it's like, so we actually know this is a bar of sand. Yeah, that whole, like, the Dorne plotline, it could have been better. Like, they could have just added one additional scene and cut out something that was not needed just to fit in that plotline, because it just would have been better. And we would have actually enjoyed it a lot more. What?
They couldn't beat one-handed Jamie in a fight, but they stab Areo Hota with a pocket knife one time and he's dead. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
My drop.
And now, one other thing I wanted to bring up about the snakes, because I haven't been on all season, unfortunately. They literally could have found 3 actresses that look different, because the Sand Snakes are supposed to be cousins, or, well, half sisters. One's a gorgeous blonde. Another one, Obara, is close. Obara is very close to her description.
Mm-hmm. She looks like Oberyn.
Yeah, she looks like Oberyn. And Tyene is supposed to be, or no. Yeah, Tyene's supposed to be a blonde. She's supposed to be kind of a not Summer Island. I forget where her mother's from, but
also Elaine's blonde too. If I know, like a really dirty blonde.
Yeah, but Nymeria is dark haired as well, so Nymeria's not too far off. But Tyene, it's an easy fix. If anything, dye her hair blonde. You know, dye it a lighter color or something. It's not that hard. You still have that olive skin. But it's like just small little details that they said, we're not going to worry about that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're going to hate them, and then they're going to die in about a season and a half. So don't worry about it. But yeah, Ilaria poisons Marcella with the long farewell. But before she actually dies from the long farewell, Jamie and her have a conversation about their relationship. So it's, for me, this is like a really cute scene, because I probably assumed that this episode maybe came out around Father's Day. I'm assuming that this episode or something like that. So like this episode is probably just like in the feels, because it's like him finally being able to admit that he is her father, and then she just dies from it. So it's like, Jamie, just don't admit it to Tom, please, about like the whole parentage thing. But she's like, I knew. It's like the fact that she knew this entire time and she feels comfortable enough to admit it. It's just, oh, and then he dies. And then you're left with this feeling of, oh no, what's Cersei gonna do? Is she gonna flip the fuck out in season 6, or is she just gonna be uncontrollable?
Yeah. And just to answer your question really quick, and I'll let everybody else talk. Father's Day 2015, when this season was released was a week after this episode.
Oh.
So very close. Yeah, it would have been fitting, but it was like, yeah, very close. But it was,
Westworld, Ed Harris, or the Man in Black, killed his daughter on Father's Day premiere episode, so that was just fantastic.
that is cool. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Same.
I want to
same
say,
with,
go ahead.
I was going to say same with the previous episode of GOT with when they burned Shireen.
Well, that was on Father's Day.
That was also
Happy
Father's Day.
But that was not Father's Day, because Father's Day was 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yes, I just looked it up. It was
People do get that
June 21st
mistaken.
of 2015. Because I've heard that before, and then I've heard the second one, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's correct. I know it's close because Father's Day is in June.
The meme with the cup.
Yeah.
See, world's #1 dad.
But now I got to look what episode came out on Mother's Day. Give me 1 minute.
That's like a May.
May.
So to Catherine Harding's point, why doesn't Cersei's hair grow between the end of season 5 and season 7? Wig budget. Thank you.
Yeah, wig budget, and she probably just likes the short hair because now she's just turned into, this is her blossom character, is just short-haired Cersei. Maybe we should ask BBM that question. Or Fandom Descent that question. Why doesn't Cersei's hair grow?
It's streamlined for fighting. This makes me more aerodynamic when I fight, bro.
When I like poison people I blow people up from the castle. The reveal is not the father is, but yeah, and I know Battle of the Bastards, which we should be covering next week, came out on Father's Day. Anyway. Johnny, what do you feel about Jamie?
Ben giving his whole what's that trivia, asshole?
No, I'm pretty sure.
Here.
No, I know, but unfortunately, I'll double check, but it probably didn't, because typically the first episode always aired like the first 2 weeks of April, and so it was always done like the week before Father's Day. Father's Day is always the third week of June, and so
could be wrong.
I'm good. Double check, but
fact checks.
Isn't Ben great at telling everyone they're wrong? He's like, you're wrong, but I may be wrong too, but you're wrong. Okay,
you're
like
wrong.
Me, though. I'm joking. Ben's like, fuck you, Johnny.
No, I feel bad. Like, I just, it's one of those. It's more important to be factually right than it's technically correct, which is the best kind of correct. I got a Futurama reference then. All right. Yeah.
Well, it's easier to slap me in the face with it than Sawsock. The Sawsock's so nice, Clarissa, what did Randy have to say about it?
He's on tour right now.
He's like, I ain't pulling out that voice. Hurts to talk like that for long periods of time.
He's out on tour right now. I'll let him know.
We're talking a little bit about Marcella and Jamie, right? At this point, so she's known the whole time. Of course, you'd know who your father is, right?
I was wrong. Sasa, Kenty, you were right. Absolutely right. So I apologize. Absolutely right. So sorry. Anyway, go on.
That's one of those mean facts that's actually true. And blank.
Tila Angel says Lena Headey calls the short wig her turnip. That's funny. It's a really good scene with father and daughter. They get a last moment together, even though I think it's stupid. It's stupid for Ilaria to do this. She wants to cause a war or force Duran Martell to go into war. It would be more advantageous for her to either use a longer acting poison, make it look like Tristane did it. There's a way smarter way to go about this. This is so simplistic that it bothers me a little bit, but I did love the scene with her and Jamie. That was beautiful. Finally, that one father-daughter moment that he's been waiting for his whole life. He can't talk to his kids. That's got to be torture.
And Nikolai Coster-Waldau, when he did that scene and she's hugging him, and without saying a word, going from an expression of surprise and shock and the endearment that he feels at that moment, knowing that his daughter and it looks almost as though it washes over him that he's a father, like more than just sort of the biological reality of it, but that he's her dad, and you can see all of that in just like moments on his face, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, especially because he is a father of, I believe, 2 daughters. So that seems probably just even more impactful. But also, we forgot to mention that with the Mirren Trant scene, that actor who plays Mirren Trant actually hated those scenes with hitting the small girls. So if you ever see that actor in real life, don't be too angry at him for those
Hug
scenes.
him.
Yeah. So really quick, because I fell into a little bit of a hole here just because we were talking Mother's Day episodes. For season 5 was Kill the Boy. For season 4 was First of His Name. I haven't gone any further than that, finding out that.
Oh, that's
Ben's
Thomas'
working
name
on
day.
trivia questions as we speak.
Oh yeah, I'm right. Oh yeah. Oh, trust me. Anybody in the chat, watch out for the next 52 pickup on Citadel Trivia. These may come up.
Holidays. The
John
holidays.
St. Baptiste, what is up, my
What's up,
friend?
JP?
Fellow Cylon. How is it
You had
going,
like
buddy?
a 4-hour stream on American Gods tonight, so.
Damn, man. I'll teach you how to touch that button, and you just can't stop playing with it for 4 hours, man. Come on. Did you just hit puberty or what, John? Oh, man. Oh, sorry. That was funny. Hey, I'm laughing at my own jokes. That's how you know I'm corny as shit.
I was just laughing. Tina Sarah. I love Nikolai. His Adam's apple is a whole other actor in the show. I'm never going to stop looking at it now.
Right.
He does have like that daddy long neck type thing going on. If anybody knows who Daddy Long Neck is, and if you pay attention, there's certain things about James, like his nose too. Like the very tip of his nose comes to this very fine point. It could almost stab someone if you really look at it. It's not like his nose is shaped, but just there at the end. It's weird, but it's funny how on people, if you notice something about them, you can never take your fucking eyes off of it. And it's usually someone else. A lot of people, other people point it out, and then it ruins the whole person for you. Don't you hate when that happens to a girlfriend or someone you're with?
It's the glass shatter moment. If anybody watches How I Met Your Mother or watched How I Met Your Mother, it's the glass shatter moment of somebody says something and fuck.
Yeah, like the suspense, like it breaks the fourth, not breaks the fourth wall, but it suspends your reality, suspension of disbelief in certain things, like Bran getting his haircut, like which we obviously will come up to.
Look, I am so happy they took dragon glass to that wig. Woo.
Right. So really quick, I just had one final note on the Dorne part with Marcella and everything. The most satisfying death, like I said, to me, the Mirren Trant Arya, is immediately followed up by the most heartbreaking, because Marcella did nothing fucking wrong. She was a sweetheart. Even Tommen became kind of a douche, later on, because he fell into religion and all that. And I won't go into my whole feelings on that, but he became a zealot and everything like that. So he, in fairness, did stuff wrong. Marcella did absolutely nothing wrong, and is just a victim of circumstance. And especially in the moment when she greets her father for the first time, it's like, come on. I mean, I get it plot wise, it makes sense, it drives everything forward, but it's like, come on, give us one little happiness. Don't do this until like the beginning. Open up season 1 on this. Like literally have him say, okay, yes, hug it out. Great. Let the poison kind of build. Let it build, drama over the summer kind of thing, or not even build, but like you just kind of forget about it. Then all of a sudden, open up season 1. They're on the boat coming back, and they're sitting talking. Then the nosebleed starts. Then, just don't do it right away. Drag it out a bit, and it would feel a lot better.
Look, does Kevin Wendell Crumb run this world? If you haven't seen Split and The Beast, the defiled, the righteous. So anybody who hasn't been abused at all ever in their life, are instantly gonna die. So the innocent die in this world, in
Yeah.
a sense. If you've been pampered, so that's what I think about that. I'm sorry, I have a dark mind here.
No, that's completely fair. And actually, I never thought about that connection, but that, I mean, it's completely fair.
Marcella, Kevin Wendell Crumb, Kevin Wendell Crumb. She's trying to get him out. Nobody knows what the hell I'm talking about.
Oh, I know that. I
I
still
know
wanna see
Ben
Glass.
does, but I've stumped the ladies. They're like, screw this.
Yeah, I want to see Glass. Have you seen Glass yet?
I haven't. I heard it kind of sucks.
That's what I've heard too. But I'm still willing to give it a shot. I still
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm just kind of waiting until I can get a decent home version. I don't like going to the movies anymore as much.
Yeah, BSOB. The balloon is still alive and well.
Still going strong, Oaf. Still going strong.
A month and a bit. So it's like, yeah. Well, I guess we'll go to kind of the, not necessarily the most boring scene, but one of the kind of just scenes and places. Marine, where Jorah, Tyrion, and Dario are pretty much deciding who's going to go save Dany and who's going to stay. And then after we see Dany and Drogon after the event of the last episode.
The witty banter scene with no chairs. Just a bunch of guys sitting on the steps going, no, I'm important. No, you're not important. I'm important.
Yeah, and then they're like, you're new here. What are you going to do? It's like, you're better here than like going to find her. And just like, oh. And then like Grey Worm's like, I want to go. And then it's like, no, because Grey Worm's been out of commission for like literally, what is it now? 5 episodes. He's been like down and out for the count. Because
there's only all of Essos, Westeros, and the entire known world to try to find her to cover. So yeah, I think 10 men should do. That's a good enough search party. A lifetime of searching. It would be an epic quest for these adventurers. And just to that point, I mean, Tyrion makes a lot of good points here, but
2 seasons early.
Yeah, they. Gosh, man. I hate how they streamline stuff sometimes and then drag out other things. Right here, they semi-streamline this, kind of. You know, we get Dany's fate pretty quick, like picking up on the next season, and they don't even really spend any time looking for her. They just are straight up. We know where she is. She's straight to the Doge Kelly. They went straight to her ring, right here. Do you know how hard it would be to find that damn ring? I mean, this is this impossible task, man. We're not even going to get into this plot armor or whatever the hell they're using here. But the donut, I guess, even with the donut, you still couldn't find that damn ring.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was gonna play devil's advocate because I absolutely agree with you, Johnny. But the donut spin, the circle pit, as we'd called it, of the Dothraki running around, and then all of a sudden in the middle there's no trampling, and so they go and search it, and this one little ring about that big, they find because they're hunters and trackers. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, Dario smelt that ring, and it's also the same as oh my god, it just slipped me. No, it's the same as Catelyn walking straight to Cersei's blonde hair. Like, yeah, it's the Lannisters did it all. Here's my proof.
Yeah, the one blonde strand that's in the middle of the broken tower.
Yeah, so can
I just demonstrate something for you? Okay, you see that?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
That's what surrounds me.
Okay,
you see those mountains? There are people that can track amazing stuff in those mountains. You're going to find a ring in a field of grass.
They usually have a metal detector, though, actually. I've seen those people.
You're correct. You are correct. But how do they know where, to find that one circle pit within 2 episodes?
It's
2 episodes they kind of.
Well, okay. I mean, there's no question that the time periods in this show are desperately unrealistic. I mean, like, unless people have learned to fly without dragons. No question. I'm just saying that, if they happened to cross this field and they found tracks from a Dothraki horde, you're going to see where it's going and what's going on. I mean, of course, they knew to go north, so they were headed north. There's no reason they couldn't have come across that going north.
Very true. Very true. And again, like I said, I was playing devil's advocate of it because that scene really does just bother the crap out of me. It does make logical sense how it could happen. Just logistical sense how it happens is kind of bullshit. So, and I'm all about like, hey, we got to cut stuff down. Just shit happens. Ignore the timeline. It's gonna happen. That's fine. It's just one. They don't even say, hey, we saw her flying north. You know, they just started writing.
Yes, they do. They do. They do.
The books
says they got Danny ring detectors, and Peter Griffin says Jorah found precious.
All right, fair. If they mention it, then okay. Then I'll.
They do say that they saw. In fact, Tyrion says we last saw the dragon taking her north.
Yeah, they saw, but there's some great theories out there that I've just seen some videos for that the Dragonflies has a good range of shit, a good range of travel.
Bare minimum a few hundred miles, probably.
Per flight.
At least.
Yeah,
they do have to land, but they can go a few hundred miles.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
But he was injured, so he might not be. Okay. All right. I'm breaking my own kind of mental thoughts here. So,
well, if you look at Marine to where she was in the Dothraki Sea, it's still a pretty far way away.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the map, it's still a good distance. But they could track him and try to follow Drogon in a straight line if he was flying in a straight line. We assume he went straight to his nest.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, I'll give you that, Clarissa. I'm still not conceding yet. But I see
they
argument.
flew there. It's not like they left tracks, right? So, of course, you're like,
Yeah.
But if you went north, and that's the way the valleys go, then you could imagine that would be the way the Dothraki would go. So they'd say, there's some pretty fresh Dothraki horse, horde prints coming along here. She used to be a Dothraki queen. We should probably check this out.
Yeah. I do like in the scene. I know we're kind of skipping over the whole Marine bit with Tyrion and Daria. That was kind of a boring scene, like you said.
It's like you get to do this, and I get to do this, and you can come with me, but you have to stay here because.
But why? Let's have a pissing contest.
Exactly. I mean, it's Tyrion. Are you really going to do anything fucking worthwhile? No. I do like how he calls himself out. Like, can you ride mildly? So you're good at talking and drinking. It's like, cheers.
I've made it this far.
But I do like the Varys scene. The best part of that scene, actually, to me, was the Varys re-showing up. Like, I thought I thought we were having fun until you left me. And Tyrion doesn't go into explain what happened. I mean, I know it'll come up, but I like Varys's line of a grand old city, choking on violence, corruption, and deceit. Who could have such experience managing such a massive, ungainly beast? And like Tyrion's like, oh, Varys, you know how to stroke my fancy, just too well. It just makes him, kind of think, yeah, all right, I can do this. I can rule somewhere I have no fucking clue about. That makes no sense. No sense.
Can't speak the language.
Something really blew my mind. And
I was just gonna say.
Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say
that was the last sort of like really witty scene I think in the series between Tyrion and Varys.
I want to say
they do have one more scene in 6 when Varys leaves. There's a very witty part.
Did anyone notice when Jorah makes it back to the Doshkalin and oh my gosh, I can't even think of the name of the Dothraki.
I can never remember their name.
I can't remember it now. Anyways, whatever. I don't know why I'm drawing a mind blank.
Khal Moro is the one that she goes to.
No, but either way, when Jorah gets there, does anybody notice he has a new earring? And it's Dany's ring. I just realized that. So he has him a new earring at the end there. So he gets a little obsessive.
How 1985 of him.
Yeah, and he goes with the... Never mind, I'm not going to go there.
Well,
I'm just going to make it weird.
Daria would have put the ring, because we all know that Dario 2.0 could fit there. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. And then
Dude, when you did that evil laugh, the balloon rose up behind your head, ominously. Now it's moving around like it's. Is your kid holding that?
No,
That
he's
balloon's going insane.
Nope, there's a fan like literally 2 feet.
Yeah, you're trying to creep me out, man. Hashtag don't forget about me, John St. Baptiste. Okay, buddy. Okay, but no.
we won't forget about you.
1985, man.
Don't you
Breakfast
forget
Club.
about. Don't say it no more. I can only do like 2 seconds now.
Yeah,
They get crazy with it these days.
Yeah. But you just
Right.
have to sing it like it's like, yeah.
Just
You guys sing
John
it
is dead now.
in minor key.
Yeah, like very like gruff or whatever. But yeah, and then Drogon is just injured and doesn't want to do anything for Danny.
We ain't mentioning no leak, nothing here. I'm not getting ruined like season 7, Catherine. So none of that. We won't.
Yeah,
we won't.
6 was ruined for me on that one.
Yeah, 7 was just oof. But it's just like oh, but it's okay. But yeah, Drogon's just not. He's like, I'm just gonna sit here and do nothing because I'm a teenager and I'm tired. But it's just funny how she's like, do something for me. So I feel like there may be a scene like this, maybe in season 8, where it's like we've all seen with them and the Beyond the Wall thing. So there could be a thing where Drogon's just like, I'm not doing anything. I'm sitting here. You just like you go on your merry way. I'll just be right here.
Yeah, Drogon's like, fuck off, Mom. I'm tired. Do you see the shit I just had to deal with? Fuck you.
Yeah, I took like 3 or 4 spears for you. Like, come on, Mom.
Mom, where's my hot
Y'all
pocket?
ready?
Mom.
I'll shut the hell up after this for a minute because I want to showcase you guys. But I got a request from the chat. Y'all ready?
Yes.
Don't you forget about me. Don't you forget about me, Sansa. Hello, Sansa. I think you're beautiful. I'm standing outside your tower. I've lit a candle, and I'm holding what is a jukebox horn combo. I've invented this myself just to swoon you, Sansa. There we go.
Oh my God.
Now y'all have a good
He's got
time.
like a minstrel group behind him.
I'm gonna step away. We're here for about 10-15 minutes. I'll be back.
No problem at all. But yeah, it just oh
Mixing
God.
John Hughes movies there.
Baelish. Come back for Baelish and the Baelish with a boombox. Boombox Baelish.
Boombox
That's
Baelish.
say anything.
Say anything. It was.
Straight anything.
Yeah. But yeah, like it was really funny. If you go back and watch, I think it was last episode or the episode before, I can't remember. It was the podcast edition of episode from. He reads out Johnny reads out what Baelish obviously wrote to Olenna, with meeting her at the brothel. It's really funny. I'd go suggest you check that out if you haven't. I can't remember exactly where it is in that episode, but.
I don't even remember what I said, so yeah, you should probably check it out.
It's really
I don't
fun.
remember, but just watch it anyway.
Check it out. It was really fun. So we can either go to John or we can go to Cersei. So
I think Cersei's
Let's do
next.
Cersei and then
Alright.
John.
So Cersei reveals only some of her sins and receives the Walk of Atonement. Yeah, that's the only thing. Right? So the fact that she only admits to sleeping with Loras is really funny. She's just like, I only lay with my cousin, Lanta. And she's like, am I free to go? And he's like, nah, not today. It's not yet. You just gotta go through the streets, and we're gonna strip you naked. Everybody can see you, and you have to start at the Sept of Baelor, and you gotta walk all the way to the Red Keep. This scene, if I remember correctly, is like 14 or 15 minutes long of just her like walking through the streets. So how do you feel about this? And I know Phoebe, the fandom be saying, be like, this was, oh my God.
So shout out first of all to the body double. Great job. still looking good. You know that it wasn't Lena Headey, unfortunately, but that's okay. That's okay. She doesn't want to. Body double did just
I
fine.
think she was pregnant actually when this scene was
I think it was around that time, and she just wasn't comfortable. And hey, no issues. This for our show was literally the hardest scene in the entire series for me to cap because I do all the screen caps and stuff. So I think maybe I had like 6 for the entire shot because I didn't want to get a YouTube strike because it might have a butt crack or something in there. But my question that I kind of had originally is, does anybody think that the High Sparrow actually believed her when she said, when, you know, she admitted saying, I did sleep with Lancel, but the children, no, they're not Jamie's. Those are lies. It's those are Robert's children, you know, this and that. Do you think, you know, the High Sparrow believed her, wanted to believe her? I mean, your thoughts on that kind of aspect of it, of the first half of this part of the scene? Clarissa, you're unmuted, so you can go.
Oh, hold on. I just got a knock at the door.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Sorry.
No,
Hello,
it's fine.
Clarissa. I'll be right there. And the Sandman. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Cool Guys Club. What's up, Septuagina's Secrets? How's it going? And somebody else popped in the chat that I just noticed that just got here.
AU has been here for a little
Do need to
bit.
give a shout out to AU Pack Mule, the granddaddy of them all, and not meaning it in an old way.
No,
AU is the gatekeeper of all things nerddom and YouTube. He is the man.
Mhm.
He gives people, I mean, just, I can't say enough good things about the man. He's my boy. You're my boy, Blue. I did see someone else in here I want to say hey to.
Almighty
Everything
King.
okay, Clarissa? All good?
Oh, yeah, no, just Pat needed help because he couldn't figure
Okay.
out where to put his drink can.
Okay.
Anyway.
On the kid's head. That's where they stand still. It goes there.
You know, he's 70. So, are we still talking about
it was just,
whether or not the High Sparrow believed Cersei? Are you guys still talking?
No, we're waiting.
Okay, sorry.
I'll come back. Y'all can't do it without me. So I'll just come back.
I just threw out the question. I was like, anybody
Yeah,
can
go ahead. Go ahead.
I totally think he believed her. Absolutely, I believe that. I think that Cersei is master at manipulating men.
The Kettle Blacks. Who was the other one? And Moon Boy, for all we know.
Yeah, in the book.
But you know, and the High Sparrow wants to believe that she's genuine. I think that he has been so far removed from the person that he once was when he was a well-to-do man. I think that his perspective was probably tainted by his faith. He wants to believe that she's repentant, and she's like, he wants to believe this? I'll make him believe it. Marjorie did the same thing. And just going back to Tommen, I don't think that Tommen was a bad leader. I just think that he was a little chicken shit. But yeah, no, I think absolutely he believed Cersei. I think that she played him like a fiddle. For sure.
Johnny, you got a thought, or because
she tried.
Go ahead.
Wait, y'all talking about the High Sparrow, right?
Yeah, like, do you think
I'm not lost? Okay.
Yeah, did he believe her when she said that those were lies?
Maybe. No, because he said there's still a trial afterwards. He still had the smirk on his face, and he said, you'll be punished today, but you'll have to come back for your trial. The look on her face there, she didn't feel like she got him over. Now, was it his biggest mistake to let her go? Yes. But in his mind, he did have her by all laws and rights. But we know that laws, rights, books, a piece of paper does not guard you from Cersei, and this is where he's failing here. So kind of to your point, Clarissa, I agree to disagree, but I see, yeah. That's what I love about this. We can all have different views, and it's still fun.
I just think that if he hadn't believed her, I think that if he thought she was ingenuine, he would have had her put back in her cell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, Mackenzie, go ahead and if you want to answer, because
I feel like he's like, you gave an adequate amount of like an answer. You like admitted to like half of this, and then I can obviously come back and be like, he's still lying here. Because obviously she does have the trial later on, and actually a full season from now. That there's the trial of the 7. And yeah, so it's kind of hard, but I do feel like, yeah, because it was also his own doing, like the fact that you like let her go and let her be with Tommen and all of that stuff, just so then she can kind of have the roles kind of placed on him. And plus, we can't keep Lena Headey, one of the highest paid actresses on the show, in a dungeon for an entire like season.
Hashtag justice for Edmure. Where the fuck is Edmure Tully? I just want to throw that out there.
Like
yeah.
Arya,
Amen, brother.
come on,
Amen.
Arya. Like you leave your uncle locked in the the jail cells of River Run for like you let all of the other Frey men die, but you don't let.
Well, no. By that point, he was back at Lannisport or Castle Rock. He was under Jaime's
the ship. Oh yeah, they have
control. So
by that Grey Worm has him.
Yeah, so at this point, technically, Grey Worm has him.
As far as I know, in the show, because I still feel like he was at River Run, or
he may have been kept at River Run. Yeah.
Did he? No. Jaime didn't send him back to the Freys, did he?
No, he did not. He did let him go into River Run. We don't really know what is allowed, but I'm assuming he's maybe well, show wise, yeah. Because Jaime tells him books, we'll treat you like a high lord, a prisoner of noble birth. You'll be allowed to stay at Castle Rock, this and that. Show wise, they don't really go into that, so it's assumed he's being kept as a prisoner.
I thought they were keeping his baby and daughter at Castle Rock, and they were going to kill him if he just didn't comply, and he was acting Lord of River Run. Now, I don't know if he got replaced. Now, that is a good question. Y'all can...
It was, well, I know in the show, Jaime threatens to throw the baby in catapult the son into River Run.
Yes.
Because I think the daughter or his wife
afterwards too,
something like that. But like, is something happened with her? She's like out in the open, but I know Edmure was like in the cells of River Run or something. So
yeah, I think that's implied that because the Freys are controlling River Run. Because even at the next scene, season 1, they talk about, we control River Run now and all this with when Jaime and Frey are talking, like, we control River Run, we got it back, blah 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 blah. After they got it, it's kind of implied that Tully is either at River Run or at the Twins again. I would assume they probably left him at River Run. Hey, you're going to be comfortable now. You did what we told you. You get to be with your family. You get to be with your wife. So it's all assumption. But because he did comply, he's allowed to stay in River Run as a prisoner. But he now gets to be with his family.
Yeah, and Satake, I don't like Edmure necessarily. I like closure to my story.
Yeah.
Was Edmure, or I mean, who was left to secure River Run? If all, was it the Lannisters that were keeping it secure?
The Freys.
It was the Freys.
So then not all the Freys were there.
No, but Arya kills all of the
lords.
All the Frey and all the lords. The women the Frey women are the ones, I guess you can.
Yeah.
No, but if they all got killed, then does that mean that there's Freys left that are holding River Run?
Freys
possibly.
Sons.
But children Freys. I don't think like first generation Freys.
Yeah, I think like all of
like the young commanders and troops and all of the older guys went back for the big feast. Because Dad called them all back.
Exactly. So, I mean, you got the children and the grandchildren and all that, but the ones directly responsible for the Red Wedding were called out, is the way I would look at it. So the reason I asked, or what I brought up the question of, did did you believe? And I loved all the answers. I do think I agree with Clarissa the most of he wanted to believe. I don't think he genuinely did believe, but because he's become such a zealot in the faith, if you're promising in front of the gods, okay, I will believe you, but it's still to the gods to judge. It's not for me to judge. This is why you're still going to be on trial. You still have to do that. But thank you for admitting, and we'll take it from there. I do like that mindset of, because I never really thought of he wants to believe, and that once you said that, I'm like, yeah, I even made a note because I wanted to come back to, because I knew we'd start talking about other stuff. So I'm like, wanted to come back to that. The wants to believe just makes so much sense, because that's his whole, that is what faith really is. You want to believe in faith, and you want to believe there's good in people. And so sometimes that overruns your logical sense of, you're fucking lying to me, and this is going to turn out bad.
Yeah, I guess I don't necessarily believe that he trusts Cersei as much as I think he chose to believe her.
See, I want to believe you guys, but the problem is he already had this evidence against Cersei. It wasn't something that they found after he let her go. He already had it and is waiting on it.
In fairness,
I think he wanted to see if
hearsay.
If she would have. True, but it was enough to get her that would have got her convicted in this court of whatever the hell kind of law you want to call it. And I would say that he just didn't. Does he want to believe Cersei? I don't know. That is a tough question. I go back and forth on the fence, because some of his actions seem like he's setting her up. He's giving her a chance to confess. The fact that she does not confess to those sins, her punishment's going to be far, far worse. And I think he may even be counting on that, because you do get the little smirk. But I can see it your guys' way too, because I don't know. Like, I could see it both ways on this one. I can't even. Yeah.
See, yeah, and at this point in the show, I'm still holding true for book. Fucking the High Sparrow is Howland Reed. That's my 90% tinfoil. I'm sticking with it. He trained, he saw what was going on, he collected a following, he knew what was going to happen, and went down to King's Landing, and that's going to happen. Show-wise kind of killed that for me, but I think the books might still bring it back, so I still have that faith. But at this point in the show, I was thinking it's Howland Reed, and it was just a dumb move. He doesn't believe her whatsoever. He's just letting her go back to the Red Keep to hang herself, give her more rope, hang herself, make some more dumb moves, this and that. But show-wise, now watching it, from what we know of her blowing up the Sept, it's not Howland Reed as far show-wise. It seems to me that, like Clarissa said, he wanted to have that faith in her that she was doing, being genuine. He didn't believe her. There's a difference between believing and wanting to believe. He wanted to believe her, and he believed she, might be telling. He wanted to believe she was telling the truth, so give her the chance.
His end goal, though, is to completely change the governmental system to where it goes straight off the 7-pointed star, and we live by the laws of the gods, or the 7 gods in one. And you got to look at that motivation and how he's setting Cersei up, in my opinion, as well. Yes, we want to think of him as humble and righteous, and he may be, but he full well knows that you have to play a little bit dirty in order to change the world. If you're all good, you're going to die. We talked about this earlier. He even knows this. He kind of hints at this in certain passages he gives. You kind of got to play. Even Queen of Thorns, Olenna, knows he's playing a game, at least a little bit. That's not saying he's not a believer in what he's doing. You could compare him to Melisandre.
Oh, no, yeah. He knows, because, he believes in the 7, and the gods are wrathful. But,
oh my God.
there's a reason.
Sasuke's comment.
Was High Sparrow a believer? Oh no.
God. No. Oh, that's awesome.
Maybe.
Oh dear. You're just saying that because Mackenzie and I are Canadians. But anyway, no, yes, he does feel that he needs to act for the gods. Some of them are vengeful gods, and they do demand, her to repent. But also, I mean, there's a reason this episode is called the Mother's Mercy, and the Mother's Mercy is part of the faith of the seven. So along with the things that he has to embody in, the seven-pointed star, the Mother's Mercy is one of those points, and this is where he exercises that.
Yeah, the mercy, because she mentions the crone, and then the crone came to her, or whatever, and that she receives the Mother's Mercy, which is to go walk naked through the streets. It's like, yay!
Yeah. So through the streets, I loved. This was a discussion on our show, but I'll bring it up here. The repeating audio track of "fuck off, whore, fuck off, whore." It's literally they didn't even try to get like 20 or 30 different voices. They got like seven voices to just keep playing on a loop. It's like
really, or just have at least a couple of different people that can do a few different accents,
right?
Something, or say it in a
different... just get Peter Baelish to talk in his 3 different accents. Whore, whore, whore.
They could have just like had everybody go, like chanting whore, 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 whore.
Yeah, and then we get
everybody does the wave.
Oh, Tila, it's mercy because they didn't kill her. They didn't execute her. That's why it's considered mercy.
Or she was,
unfortunately,
like, for adultery or something like that.
This cruel, crazy world, and yeah, incest. Because she basically at this point has she confessed to incest with Lancel, right? She did.
Yes,
Lancel.
but
so,
in the eyes of the realm here, it's not incest for first cousins.
It's still cousin.
No,
I was still going to throw that out there, but
yeah, sorry.
In the show, it's still kind of murky in the show when they draw those lines, right? In the books, you get a lot of references to this. That you kind of have to do this sometimes, especially in royal families, or else you're not gonna be able to talk to anyone. But I don't know where the hell I was going with that, but good thoughts.
Somewhere awesome.
Sasuke says you should be glad their mercy is better than Joffrey's. Exactly.
One's mercy is not, did Joffrey show mercy in his sense? Yeah, because he could have kept him in the black cells and tortured him and all that. So in Joffrey's mindset, killing him is mercy. Same as Ramsay. Ramsay gives the same thing of, oh, you think I'm going to just let you die? No, that would be a mercy. And so in one sense, a death is a mercy. In another sense, in the case of Cersei and the High Sparrow, not so much.
Can I ask the chat real quick what they thought? What did y'all think of Cersei? Scale of 1 to 10 before this and after this. What did you think of Cersei? And do y'all in general like Cersei? Or Cersei haters, Cersei lovers? I'm a Cersei lover. I love to hate her. She's a freaking great semi-villain. I wouldn't even call her a full villain. She's so damn complicated.
Yeah.
It's your show, Mackenzie. Why don't I let you say something?
Okay, I'll go first, I guess. To be like, I know this may cause a controversy thing, but I prefer Cersei's character over Daenerys, and how she's a complex. Cersei's character is very multi-layered and very complex. Yes, she has sex with her twin brother, but she, for all intents and purposes, is a good mother. She protects her children fiercely and bitterly till the end, except for Tommen. But that's I count down that.
Hey, you with the ruthless hashtag. Jeez.
Hey, you. What is this?
Not about me.
AU, you've been officially banned from Phantom D Saints channel.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, all of that stuff. But yeah, she's a fearless woman and who's adaptable, and she's kind of like the female Tywin, even though she's not. I would not to the level of Tywin, but she gets pretty dang close. And a lot of people say she's gonna die at the first chance we see her, or something's gonna happen. It's no. Lena Headey is staying to this show, and she probably will be in the very last, she'll probably be in at least until halfway through the series finale of the show. She is not dying anytime soon because she still, even though we all love to hate her or love her in general, has so much thick plot armor, like she's staying around. And I think it's almost it would be a bad way to end her character if she's killed off. Like, really, like, we all expect it, and we shouldn't expect it. Like, honestly, like, it would be almost a shock of if she wasn't killed. Like,
exactly. They could throw that twist in there. Now, to add what you're saying, Kenzie, Tyrion, Peter Dinklage is always listed as the lead actor. He's the highest paid and everything. Fine. He's a great actor. A lot of people I hear in chat say Alfie Allen is actually the best actor on the show. And it's hard to disagree with that because when he auditioned, he actually had to audition as the Reek role rather than the Theon role because the Reek's the harder role. And he did both of them very well. Lena Headey, though, and Cersei is the most complex character in the entire series because you can see, if you look at it from an objective point of view, where she came from and how she does it so well to make you feel for her. And that's kind of my note on this scene was at first you're like, oh yeah, she has to walk, that dumb bitch has to walk down the street naked. But then by the very end, you feel almost bad for her, you know, because you see the pain and same thing in the books even too, because you get the mental, insight that she's going through, but just visually, no lines said except for the random, was it or the crowd anyway, I was trying to think of the laugh track, the random laugh track that you're getting from the crowd going on. You get to feel her emotion just from her visual acting. And honestly, every time I watch this, it's like shit. Until she walks through the gates of the Red Keep and Qyburn meets her, and you get that look once Robert Strong, well, in the show, Rhaegar picks her up, but and she gives that evil look again. You're like, oh damn, maybe she did change. Maybe this broke her, and it just shows Headey's range that she has.
My feelings for Cersei have always fluctuated throughout the series. And I think because I do have a real sympathy for her role. I mean, going back to what I was saying before about sorry, get a call.
I thought I dropped.
No, that was my phone. When you look at the roles of women in this kind of a culture, you know, what they're born to, like I was saying before, you know, they're raised to look pretty and marry a high lord and embroider cushions and you know, their aristocracy. And I think like the really big difference between Cersei and Dany is Cersei grows up in that aristocracy and Dany grows up in the shadow of that aristocracy, that you know, being in exile. And Dany's thing is she has to inspire in order to gain and retain power, whereas Cersei, being in that culture, has to find a way to assert her power despite the fact that she's a woman. And I think that Cersei, the character of Cersei, that makes you really admire her strength and her cunning, because she's having to navigate around all these people and pay close attention to what is going on around her. Like, I don't love Cersei. I think she's a bitch. But she's the witch with a B, but she definitely has acquired her power through study and manipulating circumstances. She has to finesse her way around all these other people of power to get her way. So I have a deep respect for that ability, despite the fact that she does horrible things with it.
Well, Cersei and Sansa have a lot in common, but I think Sansa shows you the good nature side of it, whereas we saw Cersei as a child, she was a little shit. And Sansa was more of the priss. And they both seemingly have the same path, but they're not complete opposites. I would say they have more in common than they do different. And that's yet to be played out. And that's not to say it's a bad thing. I don't think Sansa would go to the certain extremes that Cersei does, but they definitely had similar issues. And Sansa had maybe even worse issues, for sure, especially in the show. Like in the show, no doubt. That was just, But we'll get into that later. Maybe not. We'll just not get into that at all.
So another question I had for the panel here. Anybody else bothered that we don't get the name of the mountain or of the zombie that's Qyburn introduces in this one? Does anybody else bothered that they don't call him Robert Strong, that they just straight up say, oh yeah, that's Gregor. He lived and he's now taking a vow of silence.
Bothers me.
They said, I think that they were on the fence at the end of this season because I was listening very carefully to that scene. And they do say, Qyburn does say, this is the newest member of your Kingsguard. He's taken a vow of silence until your Majesty's enemies have all been destroyed. But he doesn't say a name. He doesn't say, Sir Clegane. He doesn't say Robert Strong. He just says the newest member of the Kingsguard. So I think they were probably on the fence about that, and they probably were consulting with George R.R. Martin and writing
doing
staff
fan reactions
so I don't
sticking
think
with the
come
mountains
to a
not a
decision yet
bad
was
deal.
what it comes down to. I think they hadn't decided yet.
It's not, and it's easier. Again, it's easier to hide in the books of who Robert Strong's actual personage is. Just like the Barristan Selmy thing, instead of him being Ariston Whitebeard, he was Barristan Selmy. People don't forget.
And the Hound with Lorg and all that. It's just that whole swaparoo thing. That's kind of why Jerem was upset with the Battle of the Blackwater, no helms being on people. But
gotcha.
Cinematically, it doesn't work great. But it's kind of the old switcheroo, which you think someone's doing the bad thing, but that other someone's just off somewhere. They had their shit stolen. It's a good plot tool. I think that could have been utilized at least once in the show. I don't know how I got on this topic. Sorry.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And yes, as in season 6, they do come back and say, "Oh yeah, this is Sir Gregor. He doesn't like my enemies or whatever." They call it. I think first episode. So it's one of those that they took the season or the off season and said, "Okay, what are we going to do, the Robert Strong thing, or are we going to do just call him straight up?" And I think that's very well said, Clarissa. They kind of paneled it of fan, or what's the word I'm looking for? Damn, can't think of it. But they went through and said,
they
"What do you think?"
shelved it.
Yeah, and so they just went with the easy choice instead of trying to make it different and everything. And I don't know why it bothers me because again, we saw with Barristan, we saw with the Hound, we saw with a few other ones because again, visually you're gonna know who that character is. But
that's why it bothers you. You just named off all these things that you saw, but now there's another one.
But this one would make more sense if don't make him a zombie, just don't show his eyes. Full face helm, just a giant fucking dude. He's the newest member. This is Robert Strong. And then once end of season 6, remove the helm, it's Zombie Mountain. Boom. It's just a small selling point, but it would just add to the mystique of the show. I don't know. I'm picking nits here, so that's all I can say.
Yeah. And this is old Zombie Mountain's uniform. It's the golden uniform, which they use in the Bud Light commercial, which is so stupid. It's so funny. But yeah, the Zombie Mountain, it's obvious that reveal was coming because Qyburn was doing his magic on him. I think a few episodes ago, when we see that he was started to move again. And then he's like, "I'm just gonna take care of you," and then just carries her off and play. But yeah, with the walking through, you can really see that she really goes through this mental state, and it's not really until she can't be seen by anybody is when she really breaks down and starts to cry. And I feel bad for Tommy because he's still he obviously wasn't there to receive her, but yeah, it's just he has his mommy back though, which I think he wanted. So he's not starving himself anymore. Hopefully.
So Robert Strong does have a head. It's more than likely a dwarf's head that Qyburn put on there. That's why they don't want him to take off that helm.
See, I was actually going. Oh wow. Okay.
In the books.
Yeah, no,
I
know exactly what you're talking about. I was kind of going the exact opposite route. The head that Dorn got was a dwarf's head because it's typically that medical condition, you have an oversized head, which I would think they would take in one of the decapitated dwarf's heads that was brought to Cersei, tarred that up, sent it down. But I could see both ways. Actually, now that you say that, I could see both ways. And I never really thought about it until literally you started saying the head thing, like until the head thing was brought up, and I was like, oh no, I don't think that. But you started saying that, I was like, oh shit, that could be. But again, I play the devil's advocate kind of thing of. I think they might have just tarred up a dwarf's head and sent that down.
Well, the dwarf's head would be the same size as the mountain's head in the books because it's oversized, so the helm would fit.
That's kind of.
I'm just kind of letting everyone know. I'm not saying it is the dwarf's head, but it does have a head. It's probably not his head.
Okay, so you're going with not his head. I think the Dorn head that they got was not the mountain's head. And
I think that's possible too, because that makes sense as well. I think he does make a note about it being a little larger than he would expect, but I can't remember. I'm about to be there in the reread, so it'll be good.
Fair. Go chapter by chapter. It's actually way more fun. Just by character. Take one character and go all the way through. I've been doing that right now, and it's a lot of fucking fun doing it that way.
Sasuke, Tenfold Theory said it's Robb Stark's head. Holy shit, that would be crazy. What would scare Arya more than seeing Robb Stark's head on the mountain?
Oh god.
Now this ain't happening in the trailer, but I'm just talking about in general later. Holy smokes, that would be crazy. Even though that's a tenfold theory, I like it. That's just freaky enough for me.
I'm down with that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. That happens because we have to figure out what would Arya be afraid of.
Oh yeah, what I'm talking about with Robert Strong has nothing to do with the show BSOB. Yeah, in the show he actually does just have a normal head. It's just his head. He just has like his eyes are all blooded out. It kind of reminds me of what Cold Hand's hands would look like from the book, or Benjen Stark's hands. Yeah, I was just talking about straight book there. I can see why you would be calling me out on that one. Ha!
Yeah, and so the last scenes that we get are at the wall. If we want to start talking about that, so we get Sam and John talking about the Night King, and Sam's now up for Maester of the newest Maester. He got he wants to get his acceptance letter so bad that he's asking for a letter of recommendation.
I thought you were going to say he's going for Maester of the Month calendar. He'll be July.
Over July. And then, they talk about the Dragon Glass, which they forgot. Like, we go through, it's like, yeah, we find it in season 2, and then we forget about it for literally all the way up until season 5, episode 7, and then you bring it, and then you just leave it, and then you're just like, well, what do we do with the Dragon Glass now? It's just
right. And so, okay, to this point on the Dragon Glass thing, because there's some funny bits in this section that I will touch on, but the Dragon Glass part, literally Stannis told you 3 episodes ago, Sam, Dragonstone stands on a mountain of dragon glass. He literally told you that 3 episodes ago in the library, your sanctuary, where you remember fucking everything. You read in a book, you can't remember one line that the true king, quote unquote, tells you. Continuity just bothers me because at this point they know nobody's at Dragonstone. Hell, send an envoy to Dragonstone at this point and start mining that shit.
And even in the discussion, John says it's a lost cause now. Besides, it wouldn't be enough. We'd need a mountain of it. He says we'd need a mountain of it. And Sam never goes, hey, you know where there's a mountain of dragon glass?
Right?
I heard.
Oh, I'm gonna call it right now. If we see Valyrian steel being made, it's just gonna be dragon glass melted into regular steel with dragon forged with fire.
Did
Yeah.
any
If we see one made, they're gonna go simplistic like that.
In
But there
fairness,
has to be spells.
like trailer wise, we did see Gendry in the forges working on stuff. That's all the dragon glass being forged into Valyrian or around steel. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna say
technically
Valyrian
he
steel.
would just need a flint rock
Yeah,
to make those weapons, but you know.
yeah.
Did any of you watch I think it was Gray Area's second review of the trailer for season 8 where she watched the Brighton version?
I did not see that
See,
one.
I
You
still
have
don't
to
trust
watch
that.
it, you guys.
I'm
not going
sorry.
to do
Yeah,
spoilers.
the Brighton stuff. I agree with you, Johnny. Go ahead.
I just don't trust it. I'm not gonna read that much. I'm not saying it's not true, but like when I look at it, I only see one person. And I've seen screenshots where there's two people back there, and I've looked at the same shots, and there's not even room for two people in the
Yeah.
actual shot. So some of that I don't know. You know,
No.
people get a little insane
It's
when
hard
this
to trust.
happens
It's
online.
hard
And
to
I'm not
trust.
saying gray area.
Go ahead. Sorry, John. Johnny.
I don't want to read into the trailer that much. Sorry, I dropped. I was just saying I don't want to read into the trailer that much, and then I really don't think they're gonna give us that, right?
Well, no, it's just when we're on the subject
is
of
crazy.
the dragon glass, we get a better idea of the utilization of the dragon glass just simply because we can see what's going on in the photos better. But I don't want to give away too much, but the inside is very cool.
Yeah.
Well, the dragon glass part you can throw out there if you want.
I mean, basically, you can see in the Brighton version, you can more clearly see things in the background, like in the ramparts on the castle and things like that. And you can see contraptions that have been built along the walls that obviously have like spikes of dragon glass sitting out so that if any White Walkers are trying to come up the walls, they're going to hit dragon glass.
Very cool.
You know, you sort of get an idea of the weapons that they're fashioning. So we don't necessarily
dragon
find
glass scorpion bolt.
Yeah, and even like the bow Arya is carrying
the dragon glass itself as weapons. It's not all going to be like, we're going to make a whole armory of Valyrian steel. Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and even like the bow that Arya is carrying is a dragon glass double-bladed thing in the trailer and all that. So they can forge it, they can work it and all that. But it's just like from this scene right here, hey John, send one guy down to fucking Dragonstone. Just check it out. But Sam, you told him about Bran going north of the wall, apparently. You told him all this other shit, but this one piece of information that could save all of your lives 2 years ahead of time. Just looking back at it now, it really bothers me. At the time, it didn't resonate, didn't stick. But now, hindsight after years of delving deep into this, at this point, it's like, God, it's just annoying.
Yeah.
I did like the line from Sam though, or from John, where he's like, well, you know, some things happen, and John's like, you had just been beaten half to death. How'd you? Very carefully.
Yeah.
Very
also,
carefully.
John, we're already done talking about the trailer. If you wanted to stay, there's nothing there, man, and it was just that's why.
Yep. Sorry, John. John, you're good. You're good. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're done on that.
Off, I know, but...
Yep.
The dragon glass thing is pretty cool. I would say if anything, if they are gonna make a Valyrian steel sword, which I doubt is gonna happen, I think it would have happened if they would have went 10 seasons. We would have seen it. But if there was to be one, it would only be one sword. And you know, maybe we'll see them physically make Lightbringer. I don't know where the hell the show's going with this. If Longclaw's Nightbringer, you have Heartsbane, which come on, everything's in the name there. But then Jorah has Heartsbane, and he can't even lift it above his head. So, I mean, I don't know why he has that sword. Sorry, I'm not trying to bash on my Kodeshi. Sasa, why don't you talk for a little bit, and I'll shut the hell up for the rest of the show.
Yeah, so with John, John and Sam kind of have this catch-up conversation, and like Ben mentions, Sam reveals that he has lost his virginity, and even John's just like, wait, what? Like the fact that Sam has done that is just, he's just like, huh? And yeah, he's like kind of asking John, like, "Will you please let me be a maester?" Like, like, and it's just so funny because it's like, the Citadel will make you swear off women too, and he's like, "Well, the bloody will try." And obviously, we didn't really get to see Sam interact, obviously, in season 7 with the Maesters and with Gilly. All we see about the Maesters and women is just no women and children. And they walk like Gilly's just standing there holding baby Sam, and you're just like, okay. But yeah, and then but with the whole thing with the dragon glass, it's like, yeah, you have to wait an entire season to mention that there's dragon glass. Dragonstone is abandoned because Stannis left it on all those episodes ago, just to go beyond the wall to and start his invasion from the north all the way down to King's Landing. It's like there's no one there. Evident in season 7 when Dany arrives that the last person that was there is Stannis because she pulls down the banner with the flaming red heart and the stag. So there was no one there. You could have figured out this some way, somehow, and I bet, this is Castle Black, I bet there was a library book who had, this is where Dragonglass is, but no one mentions it.
Wait just a minute. Wasn't Sam just telling John about all? Yeah, we just talked about that. All that book. Oh my God. See what's messed up? Yeah, that's such a. I know you ranted about this, man. I'm sorry for cutting you off. Go ahead, Mackenzie. That's just it kills me.
Yeah.
Just like it kills men.
And then they have to dumb down John for a second by saying, "Well, the Dragonglass killed the White Walkers, but Longclaw was able to kill the White Walker. Like, what is this?" And it's just like, and then Sam's like, "It's Valyrian steel. This is why it does this." It's like, come on, John. Think about it for 2 seconds. This is special steel compared to Castle Forge steel. Make the connection some way, somehow. I know you're not. I know you're smart enough to make
dragon steel in the books.
Yeah, it's understandable. But yeah, it's that whole thing, and then John having that thing of you're the only person I trust to Sam, and he's like, well, there's Ed, and he goes, meh.
Yeah.
And then you leave Ed in charge, in literal 5 episodes later, you leave the man in charge of Castle Black. So it's you trust him enough to make smart decisions.
Well, he trusts Ed enough to run the Night's Watch. He doesn't trust him to give him sound advice or to give him advice, to be his advisor. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm not gonna let people hate on Duller said. He is the true of the truest Night's Watchman. He's there because he needs to be. We don't even know his backstory, but he's not there. I get the feeling he's not there because he's a criminal. I get that he's there because he's just has to be there. And
he can't wiggle his ears like Pip, though.
Right. So. We're not going to die today. Hurrah.
Hurrah. Where they keep Gilly, I guess Sam and Gilly have a house near this old town, because that's where they read all the stolen books that Sam gets from the Citadel. Because she's just living life in a house. We can see in season 7. So
it's a place above the Quill and Tankard. It's small but cozy.
You may find a sphinx there. You may find an apple core shot out by an arrow. You may even find Maester Aemon there in his youth.
Yeah, that's really, because
you can tell I've been reading the books lately.
The whole thing with the John in this conversation is just you two could have been smartened up a little tiny bit, but we need to be dumbed down so we can carry on this plot. We cannot talk about this specific stuff until season 7. That's my last thing on this before we jump to Davos and him showing up.
They rented a 1-bedroom apartment. I rented a cardboard box house, okay, and it is nice. I do have a nice little shack though, in the woods. I don't know if that come out right. Hashtag Shack in the Woods. I don't know. Yeah, I'll just shut up now. I don't know what's happening to me. Getting delirious here.
Yeah, the baby baby Sam
Or
doesn't
more
grow.
like Dolores here. Anyway.
Yeah, baby Sam doesn't grow.
So
Delirious Ed.
So are we in Westworld now? I'm just joking. Sorry, I'm derailing the whole thing. Yeah,
No.
Sasa, what do you think about Ollie being awesome?
On three, come on. You all know what I once said. On three. 1, 2, 3.
Fuck.
Ollie. Everybody's like,
I meant
Ollie, man.
you jumped too quick, John. I was like, when she was going to describe the scene, I was going to put it in the chat. Everybody on 3. But, yes. Fuck. Go ahead, Sasa. Sorry.
Yeah. So before this, Davos kind of comes to talk to John and be like, "Bring us the wildlings." And he's like, I have no authority to bring you wildlings. This is not their fight. This is Stannis' fight. And then Mel shows up, and you're like, "What's she doing here?" Well, obviously, we know for a good reason. Come next up.
Well, we found out where she rode off to when she left Stannis.
And it's just like, John, you're just, I guess in a sense, it's almost like John's just keeping the wildlings from fighting with Stannis so he can have them later. Dun, dun, dun. Plot continuation. And then they obviously inquire about Stannis and Shireen because John, he's just like a weird lover of Stannis where he's like, "What about Stannis?" And then Davos goes, "What about Shireen?" It's just like, come on, you two. Like,
Elamar, I don't know if that means what you think you want it to mean.
What?
No, I just think
no.
the emojis.
It's apt. It is very apt.
Is that?
It's very apt. Yes.
No, it just looks funny with Ollie next to it. Think, never mind. I'm loving this. This is fun. And then, Ben's just putting the thumb. Also, Sasuke, wow, such a rousing scream, guys. Yeah,
Right.
Look at me in my dead eyes and tell me that.
You're off camera, so.
Yeah. And
my point exactly.
Yeah. And then there's the reveal of Uncle Benjen. It has been seen beyond the wall by a wildling. And then John is aptly killed for the watch. That's how we end this episode. So.
Yeah. So one thing really quick I wanted to mention for the Sam scene. Anybody else notice that this is the first time I ever caught it? They're playing the Stark theme while they're riding away. I never noticed it before until watching it today. I'm like, wait a second, I know that sound. That's not John's theme. That's not like the Winterfell or the Castle Black theme. That's the Stark theme that they're playing as Sam's running away. I know that's probably has nothing. There's no hidden meaning to it. It was just something that I caught that I was like, huh, that's actually really interesting that they're playing that up because it's John's decision to let him go and do all that.
What if Sam chooses not to take his family name? He's never had any pride in it, and he has always been a brother to John. What if he says, I want to be a Stark, just like he said, I want to pray to the old gods? I just thought of that. That's really tinfoil. But
yeah,
hey,
complete tinfoil. But, I mean, it's not.
Who's Johnny B. drunk? Johnny B. don't drink.
It could be something as simple as the Tarleys don't have a song.
Yeah.
True. It is more the song of the North than just Winterfell. So
yeah, Ramen Javadi dropped the ball on that one. I guess he was not assigned to create a Tarly theme song. That was not in his season 5 checklist. No.
Yeah.
No, Johnny B. This is Johnny's 4th hour streaming, so probably my voice is getting a little not working.
Yeah, so shut
you're wondering.
I'm kidding. I love it, Johnny.
Oh yeah, I will.
Blah, blah. So yeah, we're talking about the basically the fuck Ollie scene.
Yeah.
The penultimate or the ultimate fuck Ollie scene. And it was well done because like I'll come from our first time watchers perspective of Abby. I knew it was coming because the way they were doing it, I was like, okay, yeah, I can see how they're doing it. But Abby's perspective, she didn't know what was coming. She didn't know anything. And when they even did it very well on the previously on, they brought up Benjen again. Like on the previously on for the episode, they said, "Oh yeah, you're they showed the Benjen stuff," and so she's sitting there the whole episode like, "Oh shit, we're getting Benjen." I planted a seed in her head of you have to watch out for the Benjen stuff because it's gonna be awesome when you see it. That was 6 seasons ago, and it was fucking great. Or 5 seasons ago at this point, it was great. So she's like, "Oh, Benjen, cool." And then Ali comes in, "Oh, they found out about your uncle," and he's like, and John pops up, and so watching it from through her eyes of it is a very intense scene because it's like it is way different in the books. Book wise, it made more sense honestly because the emotion behind it. But this from a show perspective, it actually made a lot of sense why they did what they did, how they did it, and it just was one of those of okay, and he got 6 stab wounds, which I think does mirror in the books what's kind of played out as he gets stabbed 6 times, and I think it says that he doesn't feel the 7th. They don't show the 7th one here, which
He doesn't feel death.
Yeah, he doesn't. They don't show it, which I kind of disagree with because he has 7 cuts on him once he wakes up. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. But it was actually really well done from a show perspective of how to make you not expect any of that. And so it's like, okay, because there's no build up to it. No, even in the book wise, you get the feeling like he gets the pink letter. He's like, okay, we have to go and do all this. And then once the stabbing comes, it's like, oh, well, that kind of makes sense. This to show watchers, like, that doesn't make any sense. But if you think about it objectively, it does from the Night's Watch perspective. He's a traitor to the Night's Watch for siding with the wildlings. So
Yeah.
it was a very, very, very well done scene. And I'll
Look, I can say this. You honestly, actually, you can blame Ollie up to a certain extent. He is a victim of his surroundings and what he saw and scarred him. This little kid definitely has PTSD at a bare minimum, and he has all these people around him telling him how bad John is, and he's seeing for himself that John's letting the bad guys in his eye off of the hook for all of the slaughter, the murder, the horrible things they've done. So in the long run, he actually thinks he's doing the right thing. That's what's messed up about this.
Yeah, exactly. Because the number 2 guy in the whole his parents being eaten is Torment. Tormund was right there, and the difference between show and bookwise, Tormund, comes south, but then heads back north and breaks and everything, and then comes back later. Tormund's been there the whole time, so Ollie gets to see this guy who literally was with the guy who ate your fucking parents the entire time, and then he come back with more of them. So I completely agree. Ollie is a shoehorn character. I see where he's coming from. I don't like the Aldi character as a whole, as making him an actual thing. But what they did, it made sense. So, Clarissa, I know we're kind of talking, and Mackenzie, we're talking to you too. So, go ahead.
Go ahead, Clarissa.
Yeah, and also if you look at it from, I still say fuck Ollie, but if you even look at the fact that John was holding Ygritte when she died, and he was walking home for potato soup with his dad when an arrow went through him that she put through his dad, right? He's got a cross to bear for this. He does, without question. But yeah, fuck Ollie.
Yeah.
I did have one question though. Spoiler alert to future season, but
Too used to being on the Johns and Jills. It's just the Jills now. If you see the new podcast they got going.
I saw, but I like that it's part of content and not changed on the YouTube name. I like that. But where was I going with this?
Something about
Ollie. Ollie definitely is this tortured child, right? I mean, he's a child. And so he strikes the 6th stab wound into John.
Yes.
I counted them to make sure.
He's the last
Right.
person to stab John.
So, and we find in the later season when they're sent, when the traitors to John are sentenced, there's 4 of them. Were the other 2 killed by the wildlings?
Well, one was probably slapped against the wall by one.
I was wondering if that was one of them.
You could suspect that that's how they wrote that off.
My feeling,
right?
Because we do have. I gotta pull up the notes. 3 of the 4 are named. That died because it's.
I think
Thorn, Ali, and not the armor. He's a named character, and I can't remember. They named him.
Taller.
No, it's not the armor, but it's along those lines. It's the named character actually from the books. I remember when it popped up, I was like, oh shit, it's one of him, and then there's 3 others that are kind of unknown. So one of the 4th unknown is hung with him, and then there's 2. You're right. There's 2 that aren't. So the assumption we had was maybe that was one of the archer that shot 1-1, did the 1-1 smash kind of thing. But there's still a 5th one that we don't.
Yeah. John would have known who they were.
Yarwick, Sasuke. Thank you.
Right.
Yarwick.
Thank you.
Also Yarwick. That's it. I knew it was on the tip of my tongue.
Thank you. Yes. Bone Marsh. He was number 4. Yeah, Bone Marsh in the show was one that book he didn't stab him. Show he was one that does stab. So yeah, Bone Marsh and Arthur Yarwick. Thank you, Imagination Realm, for that. But yeah, there's still the 6th one that we don't, or 5th and 6th that we don't. So we assume 5 got smashed. 6, he scampered off,
or he died somehow. Or they can say that John forgot what one of them who the other one was. You could say that.
A couple of people got an extra stroke in.
The guy's like standing back there.
Yeah.
No, it's just a joke. But
I got you.
7 of my brothers
an extra stroke
me in the dark in a non-sexual manner.
Well, I was gonna say an extra stroke is never a bad thing, and I don't mean that in a non-sexual manner. So
hashtag 2-stroke gang.
Yeah, it's just the hanging of those. It's just really.
So let me ask. You guys had, by this point in the series, had known about the death of John, correct? Because of the books. Everybody here had read up to this point.
I actually, when I started watching the show, this episode had already aired on TV, and plus I'm kind of known about all the stuff that comes with Game of Thrones already. I wasn't that surprised that they did this.
Gotcha.
But when I reread it in the books, I was like, this is why they had to do this. It's because it's the end of his character in the book. That's the last John chapter that you get.
Gotcha. Clarissa? I'm not sure I know where your story, had you read the books before this point in the show, kind of knowing? Okay, so this was new to you, seeing this
show
part.
watcher,
Okay.
Pure show watcher.
Gotcha.
Even now, I'm still only finishing the first book.
Fair enough. Okay, cool.
So,
rock on. I don't think we ever actually talked about that. So, and Johnny, you had been caught up by this point, correct? Showed a book.
Well, I mean, certain places were cut up on my body that I will not disclose. Oh, you said caught up? Yes. Yes, I was caught up. I did a binge read. I think. So, I can't remember what season it was, but it was before John died.
Okay, and that's just kind of why I was asking. Is because when this was coming up, I'm like, okay, this is coming, and as soon as Ali pulled him up, I'm like, is this where they're doing it? Because it kind of made sense book-wise, because I read the books right for season 2 or during season 2 when it aired, and I watched, caught on and did all that, and so I was kind of watching. I'm like, okay, is this where they're doing it? All right, rock on. It makes sense. It fits. It didn't hit me super hard. Red Wedding actually, because I had read before Red Wedding came out, that one hit me actually harder as a book reader watching new, or as a watch the first time, because of the Talisa part more so than the cat or anything else. But that part, this one didn't hit me super hard. How did you hit you guys, Johnny as a book reader beforehand, and then Mackenzie and Clarissa as non-book readers at that point, not caught up at that point? How did it hit you? Did you expect it? Did you see it coming? Did it feel okay, or did you think John would come back?
It only caught me off guard in the fact that I wasn't the scene was set up very well. You know what I mean? I kind of knew this was going to happen, and the main, like, my mother watches the show. She doesn't read the books. And the first thing she said, if he doesn't come back, I'm not watching this show ever again. And I was like, he'll probably come back. I can't say for sure, though. They may do some weird shit with him.
This is one of the first times we can't say, well, we know for a fact it's coming as book readers. Yeah. This is where the books end. We have no fucking clue.
Yeah, it just depends how he's going to come back at this moment. They're not going to kill him off being the basic main character of the entire show, even though we have seen it. So it does scare you, especially as someone that doesn't watch the books. I can see, oh, yeah. Y'all go ahead. I want to hear y'all's thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had actually, this episode had aired by the time I was able to watch it, because I had watched all of the episodes during Christmas break of that year of 2015. I had watched all of them, including this season, because before we had moved here, I had no way to watch the show other than online. But I was that young naive person that was too scared to try and find a website to watch. Now I don't care anymore.
You're breaking the law, goddammit. Anyway,
Game of Thrones is the most pirated show on TV, so of any TV show. So, but I had saw that had happened to the Twitter, because you can't stop it. I'm surprised Abby has never been spoiled because she hasn't done anything, and she has Twitter, even though she doesn't go on it. I can assume as much when she started the podcast and stuff. But so I saw that and I was like, okay. So, and I know this had happened in the book because I've watched videos about Game of Thrones in the process. But when you read it too in the book, you're just like, oh, this is how this happened, and you're just kind of shocked, because the pink letter shows up before this happened. And obviously they delayed the pink letter until after John got back in season 6, so you're just kind of you're in this weird position that and even then there's that whole thing about who writes the pink letter. Clarissa, what did you think about how they did that?
Well, first of all, let me start with I started watching Game of Thrones from the first episode when it premiered in 2010. I've watched the series since it started. So I've done every wait every year for the next season. And but I had a roommate that had read the books, had read some of the books until he actually passed away in 2009. And so I knew of the books, and I knew that the series come season 5 was ending where the books had ended. So up to that point, I really hadn't gone into the GOT fandom sort of online or anything. I hadn't looked that sort of stuff up. I was absolutely mad for the show. I loved it. And, I bought calendars at the bookstore and that sort of thing. And I really enjoyed it. But, and then after the stabbing of John, that was when I started following Gemma on Secrets of the Citadel, and I started watching, Gray Area, and when Kyle was doing, when it was still Fukin Chickens, and following Emergency Awesome, and a lot of the fan groups. And I really got into the first time watchers doing reactions.
Yeah.
And so through the reactions channels, that was how I ended up finding the GOT community that I participate in now. And
We love you.
oh, I love
you
you
too.
guys. So this was sort of my like training ground of speculation of what was going to happen next, because I had no idea what to expect. And through the community wanting to start watching the history and lores, because I hadn't watched any of those in the first 5 seasons. I hadn't watched the Blu-ray releases that had the extra footage, so I caught up on those. And so I really believed by season 6 they were going to resurrect John, but everybody was in the same boat. They're all like, nobody knows.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to believe that it was going to happen. I didn't think that they would leave that open. But as soon as, people were like, you're like, Melisandre's there. And, the wildlings have loyalty to John. Once, through the other fandoms, I got exposed to sort of the theories and the explanations of relationships and the magic and stuff involved. I was like, okay, I could see him coming back. I could see that, but we didn't know. For all we knew, it was going to fail. They were going to try and it wouldn't work, or whatever. So yeah, that was sort of my experience.
Yeah, and especially because like John had pointed out, Jon Snow is the character that most people who watch the show or don't watch the show know as the person that basically represents the show. Everybody thought it was going to be Sean Bean, but sorry.
She went for robotic.
Yeah, I thought it was
Cylon.
I was about to say the only thing Ollie should have said before he stabbed John was, "What's my name?" Damn, I am cold tonight.
What's my name?
Yeah.
Elson. Sorry.
Yeah, like either
I remember Johnny. Come on.
Yeah, it's like the traditional media either knows just Jon Snow, or they always call Daenerys Khaleesi. That's the only way. That's her name in traditional media.
Yeah.
It's Khaleesi, not Daenerys.
Well, I actually had brought this up on our last episode because it was the Beyond the Wall episode where John and Danny are talking, and she goes, "It's okay, Danny," and she's like, "Danny, huh? Last person to call me that. Maybe my brother." And the note I'd kind of made was, it's hilarious. And it was pointed out in the chat that in the first book, she's called Danny 417 times or something like that in the book. But show-wise, she's probably only called Danny maybe 7 to 10 times at most in the first season. And then since then, she's either called Daenerys at best, but most of the time Khaleesi or your Grace or anything like that. She's not identified as Danny. And it's one thing that kind of hit me. I was like, and I'd go back and kind of think about it, because like book-wise, yeah, she's called Danny multiple times through the first book. And then after that, she's not called Danny again. But when John calls it out, it's hilarious, or I should say hilarious, but it's interesting because show watchers, we call her Danny. It's Kelly C and Khal Drogo, or Danny.
Khal Drogo.
Well, Danny C and Khal Drogo, and Danny, and because Danny's easy to remember and all that. And as show watchers, even book readers, we resonate that. But it's weird to know that since I think you called out Kenzie, but since because he calls Viserys calls her Danny right as the Golden Crown in episode 7, and then we don't hear her called Danny again until John calls her that the second season 7 episode 6. It's not again, but everybody in the fandom latched onto that name. But my whole point tying this around is, if you talk to any show watcher, Danny and John, Kenzie, I'm agreeing with you, John and Danny are the two main characters of this story. That's it. That's what have survived.
Yeah, it's what
BSOB's point. He probably calls her my queen on boat sex time.
No, they don't say anything. They just have zero conversation.
They just have meaningful looks.
Yeah.
No, it's a first. You bend the knee, then I'll bend the knee.
Yeah, exactly.
During boat sex time.
But yeah, like traditional media outlets, like magazines, they just call it Jon Snow and Khaleesi. Like I think Emilia Clarke, when she presented at the Oscars, was introduced as Khaleesi. Not, she's known as this character, Daenerys Targaryen from the show Game of Thrones. She's known as Khaleesi. Even then, she had to make like a funny joke about it. Like, come on, people. She has a character name. That's not her character name. Yes, it's a title that she's been her character doing. But anyway, we're going off topic. But yeah, we'll get to boat sex probably the day of the premiere. Stay tuned for that.
Now I want to start a band called Khaleesi.
And
Band
not
called
Sasuke's joke, but Carl Drogo, accountant at law. That just kills me.
Carl Drogo.
He's like speaking in Dothraki. Listen, and then it's all like
That was some pretty good fake Dothraki.
Yeah.
And then like the closed captioning on the bottom is like, you didn't pay enough in your spousal support.
Sasuke says all. Sasuke says all icon. Oh, go ahead, Sasa. You say.
Yeah, because it'd be funnier if I say it. So it says all eye contact, unbroken, quietest orgasms ever. Literally, because I'll make this joke and it'll be weird because I'm doing it, but there's probably that thing, the sound, and then Jorah's just like, really? Like, again?
Can you see?
Like, because there's those memes of like, first he has my family sword, then he has Daenerys, then he just is like loved by everybody. So it's like, what's next? That whole thing.
Here's what's really going to trap Jorah's ass is when his first wife, her husband or her new guy sides with Jon's like, yeah, I'll follow you because you know what? You're the true king that we need to follow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's because Jorah's ex-wife or whatever, first wife, just burnt the fuck out to Tyrosh or wherever the fuck she went. But just randomly, she and her husband show up like, yeah, we're going to follow you. And Jorah's like, fucking no. Fuck.
Did anybody think the boat sex scene was a lot like cadaver sex / serial killer sex?
No.
Oh, that's that. Seriously, though, the boat sex scene.
I had no idea rigor mortis lasted that long. I'll put it that way.
They are others.
That's so
Night
bad,
King
you
and Queen
guys.
confirmed.
Well,
They're all
it was very, like, I guess because it's HBO. Like, yeah, they were very quiet. Like, you would expect, like, this is one of the biggest moments for these two characters for them to actually have this sex scene together, and then it's just.
Well, the
Both of them dream.
It's got Bran and Sam over talking most of it. Where
That's what it would be like.
you're hearing an autistic,
Oh.
and I'm
No,
sorry,
no.
I'm not making fun of anybody on the spectrum. It's just Bran is on the spectrum now. So he's become Three-Eyed Raven, completely on the spectrum, and he's now talking about, oh yeah, he's no longer Jon Snow. He's Aegon Targaryen as Wow. You want to hear the Wow, but you're not. You're hearing fucking Bran talk.
You know what?
They
boat
borrowed
sex was like?
Peter Baelish's boombox minstrels. Put the music on so nobody hears us.
If y'all read the book,
Necrophilia from IR.
it's like the Undying Ones having sex.
Oh.
Or
Your
for show
beautiful
watchers,
blue
it's like
lips.
Hayat Pre having sex with herself.
So another thing is, here's the thing.
Sounds like
No. I agree, but here's the thing: they're both technically dead. There's a theory put out there by Bridge 4. I will call out. He has a good video that came out today where Dany actually died in the first pyre, and so she's technically, and I'm surmising, I'm doing a very bad job. I'm just saying, he put it out there where technically they're all kind of resurrected from the dead. So it's just zombie on zombie butt sex.
It's necrophilia.
They're both resurrected via fire.
Dun, dun, dun.
So just calling it out there.
Yeah.
I saw that earlier today. I was like,
That's the
Does
case.
that mean Danny died twice? Because
She's been through fire twice.
She burned at with the when she's brought to the Dosh Kaleen.
Home.
She burns again.
so she's
Or Book
basically
of the Stranger. Sorry.
like the best kind of brisket you can have. It's like a double smoked brisket. It's, just anyway.
Now I want supper.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Nothing like blood magic and meat. Delicious.
Yeah, Sasuke. I don't know about John's man milk. I feel like it'll be immaculate conception. This child will be just written in the story as immaculate conception, only to appease everybody, because everybody wants this baby. But
magical uterus.
And it's a. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, like everybody wants this baby, but I don't know if this is actually if it's gonna happen, because apparently there's articles written about this baby, and it's just like I've seen it on Twitter, like Brita, aka Foya Hexo, who will be on with us tomorrow on Johnny's channel. She's like, the fact that people are writing articles about this magical baby surviving is hilarious. It's like you're gonna choose.
Baby that's gonna be raised by Sansa and Tyrion at Castle Rock as Arya and Gendry hold the North, because that's gonna happen. And I don't know, I'll throw out every tinfoil there is.
And I'm gonna add to that. If Varys's transporter magic is gonna take Cersei's baby and put it in Danny.
Yeah, there you go.
And also, if you like with the whole Danny surviving the fire, if you just read the first chapter, it's definitely blood magic that she lives through. That's kind of a given. But with the whole her possibly dying, yeah, she definitely metaphorically died. But there's a couple of passages, if you look at it completely different than
if you look at it,
and agreed. The blood magic thing, absolutely. I was just kind of taking it as they've survived or been resurrected or something. So maybe it's not just quite necrophilia, it's more zombie on zombie, like I said, both buttocks. Because Danny,
I was just being extreme and being really fucked up at that.
But you're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong, because everybody's saying it is blood magic in the chat here, and and that's absolutely right. She did not die technically. She used blood magic in the pyre. So it's one of those, and I'm not saying that's what was called out. I'm again paraphrasing everything. It's just my brain going 100 miles a minute on about a few beers, and me, drunken Ben just rambles. So he's
she used the same type of blood magic, more than likely, that Aegon the Fifth tried to use, or Egg tried to use to hatch dragons at Summerhall. People think that actually it's possible, we'll be getting into this on Secrets of the Citadel, that dragons were hatched at Summerhall. And the Matrix may have did some stuff. But whatever.
He is enough, raises another potential. If he's half ghost, is it necrophilia and bestiality?
Oh, right.
Well, if she's the mother of dragons, it means she's a dragon. So
then it's necrophilia and bestiality.
Well, if you're a warg, while you're warging the animal, you're not supposed to have sex, and you're not supposed to eat man meat. That's pretty much it. That's kind of the thing. So probably not.
As we go on 110.
You're absolutely
right. It is funny to talk about.
Varamir. Those are like the two rules. You don't procreate as you're warged, and you don't eat man. Anything else you want to do as a fucking animal? Go ahead.
Anyway.
Yeah, don't eat man meat. It literally says it in the book. Like man meat, man flesh. The flesh sounds even worse, so I say man meat. You say man flesh, and that's like, it's even worse, because you don't even think. Everybody goes to dirty places in this chat. It's how we like it around here.
Yeah, we go.
And let's be honest,
hard and fast, and 2 strokes. Only 2 strokes.
2 strokes, please.
Ben, are you drunken?
Not quite, but getting there. Just to the point of where I start rambling. It's not. unknowledgeable or anything. It's just where I don't stop. So that's why I'm asking somebody to stop me.
Stop. Have a breakdown.
I guess.
Oh, you don't have to judge. I enjoy all types of meat.
We've covered the episode. Now we're just like
we're just
talking.
rambling at this point. So I guess we can talk about a rating for this episode and all that fun stuff.
Since we're on cannibalism.
I guess this season, because we've made it to the end of this season, if you remember what happened.
Yeah. So, all right, I'll jump in just because y'all are being quiet. Episode rating, I will give it shit. And I have to think about what happened funny. Well, I'll talk about the season first, then I'll give my episode rating because I want to give a funny episode rating. So, season-wise, season 5 actually is a good season as a show. If you look at it without book knowledge, it's not bad. Dorn doesn't make sense. It does not make sense even as a show watcher, as anything. If you ignore Dorn, it's actually a good season. I know you get the Sansa rape scene in Winterfell, which a lot of people fucking hate. I'm not a fan of seeing her have to go through that, but it is a well done scene. So it's one that it's well done scene, and it shows you, hey, she went through some fucking trauma, and she's going to overcome that trauma later on, which is great. It's great build. It sucks that she has to go through it. It's just this was a whole argument on our show when we covered this, but either way,
yeah, I watched that one, Ben.
Yeah, this season though is actually really well done from a show perspective. Book wise, I'd see where a lot of book readers hate it, but show wise, there's like one of the best battles of all time. Hardhome, best battles of all time. It's a good build season. It draws out the dynamics, and from there it just kind of keeps the story going, and it could have been done better, absolutely, but it's not the worst season. It's a middling season. Okay, fine, it's the worst season, but it's not a 1 of 10. It's like a 6 of 10 compared to the rest of the series, where every season is like a 7 or an 8 or 10. It's a 6 of 10, season. So it's the worst season of the series, but it's still not that bad. It still gets a passing grade. But I guess for my call, this is the best season finale of the series so far to this point. I do like 777 better, I think, but this one, because it doesn't leave you. It's not a build episode. It's kind of it consolidates. It closes out. It does build like Sansa and Reek, a few other things, but it's not like, okay, we're just going to start building to the next season. This one wraps up a lot of stuff, and so I'll give it 8.5. Stannis not dead because she cut the tree instead of his head off, out of 10s. So there we go. It took me fucking that whole ramble to get to that joke. It's all right.
I agree with Ben on most of his points about the season, blah, blah, blah. 6.5 out of 10 for the season. I will give it, I give this episode actually 9 Danny Stranger Dangers. So that's what we can look forward to. And 9 magic rings to unite all Jorahs.
And actually, I want to change my rating a little bit. It's going to be 8.5 stabs to Meryn fucking Trent's eye. So there we go.
Clarissa?
I'm gonna base it from when I originally watched it. I haven't reached that point in the books, but from strictly a show watcher, 5 was definitely, I would agree with Ben, especially considering how good season 4 is, because season 4 is so good. Season 5 kind of fell a little behind for me. I would say that for the season, I would probably say probably a 7.5 out of 10 for me.
Generous. And my
For me,
creepiest
that's the
boy.
lowest GOT score there is. So, because really, I mean, like BSOB was saying, that, you know, GOT is the same in that it's like pizza and sex, that, you know, like pizza, when it's good, it's really good. When it's bad, it's still pretty good.
You must not
So-
actually have had bad sex before. I just have to throw that out there.
But as far as this episode is concerned, it was definitely the best episode of the season, like without fail. I mean, the previous episode was really good. I mean, despite Shireen's horrible death, that was also so contributing to the episode, but or like to the whole storyline in general. But I would say that for the final episode of season 5, I would give that a solid 8.5 out of 10 for me, because that was the episode that brought me into the realm of all you lovely people.
Yay.
Yay!
So then-
yeah, I give it 8.5 out of 10 missed window candles.
Nice.
Candles in the wind.
Nice. And actually, I'll give it a plus 0.25. Sorry, just thought about it, for not ending on Danny. Just wanted to put it there.
Yeah.
So I'm going
No.
to bump mine to 8.7.
Yeah, because it ends on her nephew. So. But this season, me and Johnny had covered it rather quickly, majority of it. Yeah, it's a pretty decent season. There's like complete missteps and pitfalls that kind of we go through in this. With Barristan especially, like that's the death that this major character gets just completely falls flat. He's supposed to be one of the best fighters in the Seven Kingdoms, and he dies in a back alley. Like, come on, people. And then the Sansa scenes, and
Yeah.
it knocks down a couple pegs. So I'd give this, like a 6.7, 6.75 Dorn Ding Dong moment. And this entire episode, I would probably give it 9. I'd say 9.5. What was it? I saw a really good one in the chat, and I thought of it after, and I was like, it was like, no, here you go. 9.5. Shame moments.
Shame of Cersei.
How I never thought of that joke. Oh my god, yes. Thank you. That was awesome. I that was good.
So many times I wished I was going to Con and Thrones just to have a whole repertoire of songs based on the show.
Yeah, like that. Oh, so crazy. So,
John St. Baptiste.
speaking of John St.
Shout that
Baptiste, he did put out a season 5 playlist for giving a song to each episode of Game of Thrones season 5, and he's done them for all of the seasons so far. He's kind of kept up with Episode Club. They're all in the description if you haven't listened to them. He says it takes a long time to figure out which song works best, so please check it out for him. And if you haven't already, subscribe to that man, because he is awesome. And he puts up with the three of the 4 of us every single week. So
Actually, no. And then
you too.
I was going to say the 4th of us every 2 weeks. So
Yeah, there you go.
it's one of those. Yeah.
So-
If you want music knowledge, go to JSB, John St. Baptiste. He blows everybody out of the water. So
Yeah. And he did do a stream today, so go even if you haven't, just go watch it. So
Like American Gods.
American, thank you. I was gonna say, if you watch or you're into American Gods, follow that stream. I haven't watched it yet, so I'm not going on the stream yet. But knowing John, he knows his shit, and it's gonna be entertaining. So follow that and find out, because he's gonna know what he's talking about, and it's gonna be good.
the links for John are in the description. And speaking of that, where can everybody find you? And what are you doing in the next little bit?
All right, so you can find me tomorrow at noon Eastern on my channel, The Brooding Hero, Jon Snow character breakdown. We'll be having a bunch of fun with that. I'll be actually rested, so y'all are going to want to be there for that. This weekend, we're recording the next Locations and Lore with John St. Baptiste. And this week's, well, it's going to be the Iron Islands. I was about to say this week's installment, but we're doing Jon Snow instead. Fire and Blood will be back soon. It might be after the end of Game of Thrones or maybe in the middle of the episodes. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but it's coming back. Don't worry, I haven't forgot you guys. Quick Advice and Fire comes out every week. We might be putting out 2 a week now, so look out for that. We got Maegor. Then we're going to have some Peter Baelish. Throw in some Joffrey. Then we're going to get back and forth into characters that actually relate to each other in present day and in the past. So it's going to be very fun. Check that out. And don't forget BSG. Every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Boom. To Cylon Johns. And yeah, I'll be on every episode of Episode Club unless, Sasa doesn't let me, and it happens every now and then. So thanks, everyone. Like, I really enjoyed it. I appreciate y'all having me on, and I just love hanging out with the friends.
Then everyone's doing it.
Clarissa got Cylon, it looks like.
So I'll go next, but also don't forget to, on Johnny B. Crazy's channel, his quickies of Ice and Fire on, I think they're released on Sundays. I could be wrong, but that's when I see them. They're fucking amazing. He's doing a lot of the Fire and Blood stuff, and I want to give him a huge shout out because I have not read Fire and Blood. I know I need to. I'm trying to get into the outer realms of the Ice and Fire stuff, but he's actually with those that I'm learning a lot that I did not know. So definitely subscribe to his channel because those come out and they're fucking amazing. They're visually stunning. Auditory, it reminds me of, oh shit, I'm trying to remember the joke that I had, but it does. Oh, the opening theme reminds me of X-Men's 90s, the X-Men's animated show in the 90s. The opening theme,
Saturday mornings.
Yeah, it's great. But the information in there is fucking phenomenal. So I was listening to see if you'd give that a call out. You didn't, so I'm calling you out on that. That is fucking amazing, Johnny. And definitely check those out. If you haven't read the Fire and Blood series, it gives you a lot of Fire and Blood and World book. It gives you a lot of history that you don't know about. And in a short, for ADD riddled mind like mine, it's beautiful. So it's fucking great. For me, you can, and Sasuke, I'm going to ask you a question really quick. I've not read Duncan Egg. I just started the Devil's Fingers reread or their breakdown of Duncan Egg, and listening to it, I need to read Duncan Egg. I'm going to, but I'm going to wait till after season 8, and I'm going to dive into everything. But I've just started listening to their coverage of it, and it's really good. It does intrigue me. But you can find me in Drinks and Those Things. We'll be covering season 7, episode 7. The big one. Abby finally catches up to all of us this Monday night. She's already watched it. I know she's probably 3 times by this point, but she catches up to all of us. We'll be covering it Monday night on our channel about 8 p.m. Central, hopefully roughly around there. Abby and Luke will be doing her first time watch thing. They should be tomorrow night, Thursday night on Drinks and Nose. I'm not on Citadel Trivia again until I think April 12th. Yeah, 2 nights before the first season. We'll try to do a lot of Game of Thrones stuff. And then, but keep an eye on Drinks and Nose because I do have a few ideas because we have a 2-week break where we caught up and we're good. And I have a few ideas to do some videos and stuff. We might not be doing as many live streams. We may do 1 a week as we've been doing. But I'll be talking to the people on this chat here, see if they'd be interested. Just keep an eye out, keep it subscribed to there because you might get some stuff. And then on the Slide of the Tank Bender channel, who fucking knows? That one is completely random. So that's all I got.
Just go subscribe to it anyway, just in case something pops up. Like, why not?
So let me toot Ben's horn. Thank you, Ben. I know you need something after the chat, but thank you. I'm very humble. And it's so funny how you're down balloon. Every time you talk, it's kind of on cue with the rhythms of your voice. It's weird. I don't know what's going on there, but you need to stop reading Stephen King. I think it's affecting you, my friend.
It's now like
You don't
Go check them out.
Thank you. I appreciate you thinking that I'm not actually controlling that. So let's keep it that way.
And it goes and hides, and then it pops up out of your ear. Um, and yes, lots of things sound sexual here at BSOB. Get used to it. No, I'm just kidding. No, Drinks and Those Things podcast. All the podcasts they do it at least 4 that I know of. Everything from Harry Potter to the podcast that flows down here to the podcast that must not be named. Whatever. I'm not gonna do all this, but I love the man. Go check out his channel. He has really fun stuff that pops up on there. So any random nerdiness that you love, and Citadel trivia, right? I know he already shouted that out, but he's been making questions as we speak.
Yes, actually, yeah, because hey, I gotta fill fucking every 3 weeks now. Shit, I'm gonna steal from all you fuckers. You give me something interesting, just know that I'm around and I'm gonna be taking random facts.
Yeah, we have like holidays. Like, what was a random episode that came out for Game of Thrones around Mother's Day?
That's not a bad one. Just I might hold off on that for like 3 months just to look through everybody, but that's not a bad one. I kind of like that because actually Mother's Day is almost guaranteed to be a Game of Thrones episode.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah.
All right, Clarissa.
Hi. Thanks for coming and joining us tonight, you guys. I'm Clarissa Thompson. You can find me on Episode Club whenever I'm invited by Mackenzie. And you can find me on Friday nights at 9 Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on Fridays on the Cylon Johns with Johnny B. Crazy, John St. Baptise, our lovely Mackenzie L. Burns here, Amy Troop, and Bobby Catalano, along with special guest in the chat, Julianne89 and Catherine Harding, of course, because they're our loyal honorary Cylon Jills. So come join us. We'll be reviewing this week Season 2, Episode 11, which is Resurrection Ship Part 1. So if you haven't caught up, then catch up, darn it, because we gotta defeat those Cylons, damn it, and we can't do it without you.
Yeah. But you can't binge past this episode.
No.
Per Johnny and John's rules.
Yes, the Johns are the only ones. The Jills are all first-time watchers. So
unless you
come, but no spoilers in the chat.
Yeah, nope. Because else
Catherine says, hint, hint, we need more Clarissa Thompson, Mackenzie L. Burns.
I can make this happen. Trust me. I can figure out some way to make this happen. But yes.
I can find a way to free up some Wednesdays.
Yeah. So you can find me here on my channel, as always. We will be pretty much going full steam ahead. Pretty much next Wednesday, we should be doing Battle of the Bastards. I'm pretty sure. So we're jumping an entire season, but they will all be pretty much double up podcasts, just because we're running out of time. Spoiler alert, friends, we're like, what, about 24, 25 days out? Yeah, we need 30. So we're doing Battle of the Bastards next week. It'll be a really good episode. It's one of my favorite episodes, and I can't wait to talk about it with the panel that comes on and joins us for that. And yeah, you can find me also on John's channel tomorrow, where we'll be talking Jon Snow and on Cylon Johns. And everything else just comes and goes. But we will thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for this really long episode of Episode Club. I think it was the longest ever. And we will see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.